is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Your Rangers West Coast tour continues. A 3-game series with the Oakland A's gets underway tonight. They all know what's at stake facing the division leader, and a good showing is a must. The hope is for a similar result to the April series here when your Rangers pulled off an unlikely sweep. A West Division showdown is next when your Rangers meet the Oakland A's on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. Well, a gorgeous night here in the East Bay. The Rangers coming down the coast from Seattle tonight. The first of 3 against the division-leading Oakland Athletics. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Delighted you could join us on this evening of Ranger baseball. Rangers in the East Bay tonight to take on the A's. A's have been playing well, but the Rangers have the upper hand this year anyway in this ballpark, Tom.
Well, they do, Buzz. It was kind of a strange situation early in the season when the Rangers came in here. The A's were playing well at the time, and the Rangers swept them. They scored enough runs to win, but they really pitched well. Their team ERA was 167. They're going to have to pitch well in this series, too. The A's aren't swinging the bats that well, but they have the best pitching in baseball. They're tough to beat. They're tough to beat at home. The Rangers swept them early, and hopefully they'll be able to be up to the task again this time.
Yeah, it'll all be up to Colby Lewis tonight to get that start going for the Rangers. He's the first one out of the chute for Texas tonight as they get ready to take on the Oakland Athletics here at Cook Coliseum. Adrian Beltre and company getting ready to take on the A's. Coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Take the EcoBoost Challenge to see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T Uverse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT, mobilizing your world. By the all-new Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. And by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. A great shot of the Golden Gate across the bay, and the Rangers getting set to do battle with the Oakland Athletics. Before we get underway here at the Coliseum in Oakland, let's head down to the field. John Ridigan is standing by. John?
Yeah, Buzz, what a difference 7 weeks makes. It was 7 weeks ago that Daniel Robertson was told he would be traded to Texas. He thought, well, Round Rock's a pretty good place to play since he was in the minors with San Diego. No, they said, you're with the big club, who was here at the time. So it was 7 weeks ago here in Oakland that he met his teammates and us for the first time.
Cool coming back here knowing how much I've grown and how much closer I've got with all the guys, and how kind of the familiarity with everything. You know, I feel comfortable now going places. I feel comfortable with my teammates. I feel ready to go. I feel, you know, a part of the guys is just taking the field to try to get wins.
So comfortable that he has found a spot in tonight's lineup. He's the leadoff hitter and playing center field. So things have come a long way for Daniel Robertson. He's earned these opportunities. Tonight he goes out there and tries to make the most of this one, guys. Back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, Daniel now part of the right-handed hitting platoon that Ron Washington is throwing out there against a left-handed starter. And we'll take a look at that tonight. The Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup. Daniel Robertson is indeed leading off. He's followed by Elvis Andrus. Batting third, the DH, Shin-Soo Choo. Adrian Beltre bats cleanup. Alex Rios is next. Donnie Murphy, the start at first base. He hits sixth. Robinson Chirinos is catching. Michael Choice bats eighth and plays left field. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Rougned Odor.
And we'll look at our Sonic scouting report for Drew Pomeranz. He's 5-3 with a great ERA, 190. 16 games, 7 of them starts. The last 7 have been starts. His last 2 starts, he's had a no decision and a loss, although a 0.64 ERA and an opponent's batting average of only 204. He's pitched great. They just have not scored any runs for him in his last 2 starts. He was the 5th overall pick in the 2010 draft by Cleveland. He was traded to Colorado and then traded to Oakland, and he's definitely found a home with the Oakland A's.
Well, Pomeranz, a big left-hander, is 6'5", was about 220 pounds, getting set to start things off here with Daniel Robertson stepping in. Robertson hitting 188, no home runs, a couple driven in. Robertson spent some time at the leadoff spot. About a month ago was his debut in that leadoff spot, and he had some success up there. He takes the first pitch for ball 1. Pomeranz, as you will notice, very much like you, Darvish, working out of the stretch full time. He fires a strike. It is 1-1. Pomeranz, as Tom told you, a relief pitcher to start off the year, and really had no thought of him going into the rotation, but the Athletics have been beset by the surgery bug for some of their starters. And so Pomeranz was pressed into service, and he just stayed with the stretch position. He said that calmed down his mechanics a little bit, and he felt comfortable doing it. He's just stayed with it. Ahead of the count here, a ball and 2 strikes to Robertson. Left-hander is ready, now back to the plate. And the pitch fouled away to the right.
So when he was drafted by the Indians, he was the 5th pick in the draft. And obviously he was projected as the 5th pick in the draft out of the University of Mississippi to be a frontline starting pitcher. So the A's developed him early in the season, as you said, Buzz, as a reliever, where he had a lot of success. It's translated into the rotation now. It's kind of where everybody envisioned him being when he signed.
And Daniel Robertson caught looking at a called third strike from Drew Pomeranz. Well, Robertson gone. 1 away for Elvis Andrus. And before we tell you about Elvis, let's take a look at the A's defense, brought to you tonight by Progressive. Yoenis Cespedes in left, Coco Crisp in center, and Stephen Vogt is in right field. Brandon Moss at first, Alberto Callasmo and Jed Lowry up the middle. Josh Donaldson at third, and Derek Norris is behind the plate tonight for the Oakland Athletics. A's come in at 42-27. This is the second best start for an Oakland team after 69 games, excuse me, since 1990. The great teams that under Tony La Russa that won here. Elvis takes ball one. Andrews at 262 with a couple of home runs. The pitch high and outside. It is 2-0. Elvis 16 RBI. That on-base percentage creeping up there. It's now at 310. Pomerantz back to the plate. Fires a strike to the inside corner.
Prior to this season, Pomerantz had 34 games and 30 starts in the big leagues with Colorado. He was 4-14 with a 5.20 ERA, but you have to remember he was just drafted in 2010, so he hadn't had a lot of experience. Got to the big leagues quickly. And in the cases where he's been traded, it's not like he was given away in the trades. Those are his starts prior to this year and his starts in 2014. Obviously a dramatic difference. He was traded for Ubaldo Jimenez. Cleveland acquired Jimenez from Colorado, and then when the A's got him, they traded promising left-hander Brett Anderson for him. So it's always been a meaningful trade. It looks like after everything's over and done with, the A's ended up with the best guy.
Now the payoff pitch to Elvis. That's line to center field, a base hit. Well, Andrews got the count full, and Elvis has been doing that well of late. Boy, he just hit that right back through the box. And the Rangers have their first base runner of the night.
Here's a good look at it. He saw a lot of pitches and makes a concentrated effort, just like he has been. He's trying to make solid contact back through the middle. Great example of it right there. That was definitely solid contact.
Well, Elvis at first now, and he will see if he can't expose one of the weaknesses that the A's have, and that's their inability to cut down the opponent's running game. Got Shin-Soo Choo at the plate, and Pomerantz deals outside for ball one. A's have caught about 12% of the opposing base stealers. Success rate of better than 85%, and no matter who's been behind the plate, whether it's Derek Norris or Jaso or Vogt, they just haven't gotten the job done. That pitch is high, and the count is now 2-0 to Shin-Soo Choo.
Yeah, the A's are successful when they steal, but they're the other team's even more successful against them.
The American League of Leaders in stolen base. You see Elvis down there at fifth spot. He's 16. 2-0 pitch is on the outside corner, and the count moves to 2-1. Shin-Soo Choo hitting at 258 with 6 home runs, 23 RBI, and among the league leaders in walks, 41 walks now. He has slowed down a bit. Jose Bautista of the Blue Jays up there at 53, leading the pack. Pomerantz a check of first. 2-1 pitch, double play ground ball to second. With Lowry and back to first, that will do it. Shin hit it on the button, but hit it right at Castro, the second baseman. And the A's turn it over. No runs a hit, nobody left after a half inning. Rangers nothing, A's coming up. top of the first, but Oakland turns the double play. Rangers grounding in to their 69th double play of the year. That's the most in the Major League. Here's the A's lineup that will face Colby Lewis tonight. Coco Crisp leads off. Then it's the DH, John Jaso. Yoenis Cespedes bats third. Brandon Moss, the cleanup hitter, plays first. Josh Donaldson is at third base. Jed Lowry plays short. The catcher and hitting seventh, Derek Norris. Stephen Vogt is in right field, and batting ninth, the second baseman, Alberto Callaspo.
Sonic scouting report for Kobe, 4-4 on the season. He's had 11 starts, 336 opponents batting average. That's his second highest in Major League Baseball. 20 career games against the A's. He's pitched well. He's 7-4, a nice ERA. This is his first start since July 18th, 2012.
And very quickly, let's take a look at the Ranger defense. It's delivered to you by Chicken Express. Tonight, Michael Choice to start in left field. Daniel Robertson in center, and Alex Rios in right. Donnie Murphy, another shot at first base. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Beltre at third. And Robinson Chirinos behind the plate. He is catching Colby Lewis. Oh, Coco Crisp getting set to step in against Lewis. Crisp, the switch hitter, up there from the left side, a .274 average. First pitch of the night by Colby is a bell-high strike. It is 0-1. Crisp with 5 home runs and 21 driven in. Not your typical leadoff hitter in that he has pretty good power. Good breaking ball, and that's just a bit low. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
And the A's have a number of hitters who are really cold right now. Crisp isn't one of them. Crisp is actually hot. And he's also this year hit much better at night than he has during the daytime.
1-1 pitch. Now 2-1. Yeah, that would defy logic in this ballpark at night. Is kind of a tough place to hit and swing the bat.
Yeah.
Usually cold and damp. Most hitters don't like that, do they, Tom?
No, not guys that hit the ball, try to drive the ball or hit the ball out of the ballpark don't. And, Crisp has some pretty good power for a leadoff hitter, so I'm not sure why he would hit better here at night than in the day.
Colby comes back to even the count now, 2-2. Why?
He's got the same problem Josh Hamilton had.
Oh, son, does he have blue eyes too?
Well, I don't know what color they are.
Daniel Robertson in a hurry, dives, he can't get it, it's by him. And Michael Choice backs up to play, but not before Crisp is scooting into second with a leadoff double.
Well, that was a great try by Daniel. The problem with trying to catch that ball was it was really slicing away from him, from center field toward left field. If it was hit straight, he probably would have caught up with it, but that ball just really was sliced in the left center field. And Daniel gave it a great try, just couldn't quite get to it. I don't know if he could have held him to a double, even if he played back on it and tried to catch it on a hop. Almost made a great catch.
Now for Crisp, that's just his 5th hit against Colby Lewis in 23 at bats. Colby had the upper hand, and Crisp got even a little bit with that leadoff double. So he's at second with nobody out. John Jaso, the DH, up there now, and he'll be trying to pull the ball against Colby.
We're talking about some of the guys that are cold. Jaso's one of them. Jaso's 0 for 21. Donaldson, before he got a hit yesterday, was 0 for 33. Lowry's 2 for 33. So you've got some guys that are, pretty good hitters that have really slumped. Hopefully they'll stay that way for at least 3 more days. That'll be up to the pitching.
Colby, a couple of checks at second. And the pitch is lined to right center. That's a base hit. Crisp being waved around third. Here comes the throw. It's way offline. And down to second on the throw goes Jaso. And the A's take an early 1-0 lead on Jaso's RBI single.
And Daniel's trying to be aggressive in center field, but when you've got Crisp on second base, who runs very well, you're not going to have much of a chance to throw him out. Jaso breaks his 0 for 21 streak by ripping that ball into right center field. And you can see Crisp never hesitates at second base. And Daniel's play is to second base. He tries to make the throw home, and it doesn't go very well, and Jaso ends up at second base himself.
No, a run across. Now the same situation. Jaso at second, nobody out. Yoenis Cespedes, the number 3 hitter, steps in. Cespedes, 258 with the average. See, he's hit Colby Lewis well, and just a handful of at-bats. Takes strike 1 on the first pitch. Cespedes, 12 home runs. He is 3rd on the A's with those dozen round trippers. 44 RBI. Pretty much a dichotomy the last 3 games as compared to the previous 9 games. About half the batting average for Cespedes, so he has cooled off a bit. But this guy, especially the way he's hit against the Rangers in the past, a tough man to face, especially in the early going here. Pitch is outside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Cespedes, a 285 career average against the Rangers. And that pitch gets by Chirinos all the way to the backstop. Well, down to third goes Jason. It looked like Robinson Chirinos might have gotten crossed up.
Yeah, it didn't look like a wild pitch. Just went right by him. Let's take a look.
Yep, he got crossed up.
He definitely got crossed up.
He was looking for a fastball the way his glove went up to start off with. Then he recognized that's not a fastball. It was too late.
You know, and that should tell you how hard it is to hit in the big leagues. You know, the hitter doesn't know what's coming.
Right.
But he still had to hit that ball. Well, Robinson didn't know what was coming. He couldn't even catch it.
They're going to rule that a wild pitch.
If you couldn't catch it, how could a hitter ever be expected to get a hit?
And the pitch to Cespedes inside. It spins him around. The count goes to 3-1.
I guess the difference is he was 100% sure it was going to be a fastball. He thought he knew what was coming.
It's like a hitter having the pitches tipped off to him and getting crossed up that way.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is a big difference. If he didn't know what pitch was coming, he just had to catch it. He would have caught that ball.
And Cespedes, a towering fly ball to left. That should be deep enough to score Jaso. Michael Joyce gets himself in position. The throw is offline, though, and Jaso down the line to score from third, and the A's take a 2-0 first inning lead. Cespedes with his 45th RBI of the year. Oh, a pair of hits, sacrifice fly, and the A's jumping on Colby Lewis in the first inning. A 1 out now, base is empty, and it'll be Brandon Moss, the cleanup man, to come to the plate. Moss, a 264 hitter. And he goes after the first pitch and scalds it into right field by the dive of Donnie Murphy. That is a base hit. So Moss aboard with the 3rd hit of this first inning for the A's. A Ford leaderboard showing you the runs per game in the Major League. The A's 2nd behind the Colorado Rockies, and not by much, by a 1/100th of a run. Angels are 3rd, the Blue Jays are 4th, but this A's team scoring almost at will, and they've gotten off to the same kind of start here tonight against Colby Lewis and the Rangers. A 1 out with Moss at first. Josh Donaldson, the third baseman, who takes a strike on the inner part of the plate.
I mentioned Donaldson got a hit yesterday to break an 0 for 33 slump. He's 2 for his last 40. But still ranks among league leaders in a lot of offensive categories.
And he pops this one into right field. Way up in the air, coming on Alex Rios. Plenty of time to get there for the Ranger right fielder, and he puts it away. 4 out, number 2. Moss staying at first, and now Jed Lowry will come to the plate. Now the A's, despite all the shortcomings that we talked about offensively, same team that jumped out last night against the Yankees and put up 6 runs in the first 2 innings. They were at 10-0 after 4. So they can score early and score bunches. And Colby Lewis and the Rangers have felt that from Bob Melvin's club here tonight, with Oakland getting a very quick 2-0 lead. Lowry, a switch hitter, up there from the left side as Lewis deals to him. The pitch outside for ball one.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say Lowry's also been in a slump, 2 for 33. He's also hitting 139 in his last 24 games. His average is down to 224. He had 290 for the A's last year with over 600 at bats. So he's really having a down year so far.
And he was right at about 290 when we saw him the first time we were in here.
Well, that's what 11 for 79 will do for you, I guess.
Yeah.
But it just shows you that this team can withstand 4 key guys in huge slumps because they've got the best pitching in baseball.
Fly ball lifted out to left field. Michael Choice drifting over to his left a couple of steps. Puts it away, and that will do it. The A's strike first. They get 2 runs on 3 hits and leave 1. After 1, Oakland 2, Texas nothing. Results for you. Trout, Cabrera, and Bautista in the outfield, with Bautista garnering the most votes. And infield-wise, Cabrera at first and Cano at second. Jeter at short. Josh Donaldson playing third for the A's. Behind the plate, Matt Wieters. Now, that might change as we get closer to the game. Matt Wieters going in for Tommy John surgery. Nelson Cruz is the leader at DH. That will be the starters right now. And don't forget, on Monday, July 14th, the Home Run Derby, 8 o'clock that evening on ESPN. And then Tuesday, July 15th, on Fox at 7:30 from Target Field in Minneapolis. The 2014 All-Star Game. Adrian Beltre, speaking of All-Stars, is creeping up the list. He is now in second place behind Josh Donaldson in the voting.
But Donaldson continues that 2 for 41 streak that he's on right now. Adrian's probably going to overtake him.
Yeah, Donaldson also committing errors at a pretty good clip, too. Up the middle, not hit very hard. Lowry behind second, drops the ball as he goes to throw it. The ball just kind of squirted out of Lowry's hand. And Beltre is going to be aboard on an error by Jed Lowry.
Yeah, it looked like Lowry was going to have an easy time getting to that ball. He's playing him to pull a little bit, so he's got to go over it quite a ways. It looked like a simple play to catch without doing the 360. Just catch the ball, get your feet in place, and throw it. He tries to spin all the way around to throw, and doesn't transfer the glove and gets an error.
He spun all the way around. The ball did.
Ball just didn't want to go in.
Oh, that is the 50th error of the year committed by the Oakland Athletics. came in 11th in fielding percentage in the American League. That'll drop him down just a little bit. So 1 on, nobody out. Alex Rios, 5th in the American League with that .322 average. Trying to get something going. Rangers trailing 2-0, and the pitch from Pomeranz is a little bit low. It's 2-0. Rios, 3 home runs. He is the team leader with 32 RBI, and he has loved hitting here at the Odotco Coliseum. He's had the last 13 games, a .358 average. That pitch outside. It is 3 balls and no strikes. Pomeranz trying to let the Rangers back into it after Oakland staked the young left-hander to a 2-0 lead after 1. 3-0 pitch. That is a knee-high strike.
Interesting statistical note on Pomeranz. He's actually been much tougher on right-hand hitters than he has on left-hand hitters. He's held right-hand hitters to a 190 average, left-hand hitters 256.
3-1 pitch. Line drive, base hit to center. Beltre had to wait just to make sure that Callaspo couldn't go up the ladder to catch it. And now the Rangers have runners at first and second with nobody out, and Donnie Murphy coming up.
That was a rope. Didn't look like it was going to be high enough. Fortunately, Callaspo's not very tall.
Folks, we'd like to remind you to help Southwest Airlines and the Texas Rangers honor heroes during the 2014 season with the Faces of Freedom program. Honorees will be recognized during the game at Globe Life Park and travel to Washington, D.C. on Veterans Day as guests of Southwest and the Rangers. To nominate someone today, visit TexasRangers.com/freedom. A 2 on, nobody out. Here's Donnie Murphy, the Ranger first baseman, hitting 6th in the order. A's don't expect him to be up there bunting, although he does square around to bunt, and bunts one that is fielded by Pomeranz, and the third baseman Donaldson had come down the line almost absent-mindedly because Pomeranz had a sure out at third base. Had Donaldson played back and read the bunt properly, gone back to the bag, and Pomeranz, probably the most surprised person in the stadium when he fielded that and had no one to throw it to.
Donaldson knows that he's going to try to bunt it down the third baseline. Pomeranz pounces on the ball. Donaldson went after the ball, and that's why there's no one at third base.
A sacrifice bunt for Donnie Murphy, and now the Rangers have a chance to get a run with an out as Robinson Chirinos is at the plate. Takes that breaking ball that comes in the back door for strike 1. Yeah, that last play, that bunt defense, that won't go down as an error because the play was made, but that in itself was an error for Josh Donaldson. Just did not read that at all. And that's, part of the problem is you go through that play so often in spring training, you go through it kind of nonchalantly, not paying much attention. You have to know who on your pitching staff gets off the mound quickly. As a third baseman, you have to be able to read not only the bunt, but know who's on the mound. Out of play down the right side, and very quickly Pomeranz has an 0-2 advantage in the count to Chirinos. Robinson hitting at .234 with 5 home runs and 17 driven in. And he has been one of the hotter Ranger hitters of late. Half the time he's gotten that runner home from third with less than 2 outs. Right at the major league average. Chirinos 2 out of 6 in the just completed series up in Seattle. Pomeranz with the 0-2. Now a ball and 2 strikes. Chirinos digging back in. He's got Beltre at third. Rios at second. Gary Pettis, the Ranger third base coach, keeping an eye on the Oakland infielders. 1-2 pitch. Out of play. And we'll try it again.
Pomeranz, as we've said, started the season in the bullpen. And when he got the chance to start, they eased him into it. They didn't allow him to throw a lot of pitches the first few times out. But the last couple of times out, he's been able to go 7 innings in both of those starts. He hasn't had a long career by any means, but that's the longest he's pitched in a game. He's done it the last 2 times.
The next pitch just a little bit low. That evens the count at 2-2.
The A's pitching is the best in baseball. Lead the major leagues in earned run average and opponent's batting average. Starters lead the American League in innings pitch, which is good for the bullpen.
Next pitch from the left-hander. Breaking ball, and he just did get a piece of it to spoil a pretty good pitch from Pomeranz. Still 2-2.
Pomeranz has a good curveball. Fastball, low 90s, and a good sharp breaking curveball. There's the major league rankings. The ERA is the best. Opponent's batting average is best. You name it. On base percentage, runners in scoring position. That's why they're where they are.
A 2.88 ERA, and put that in comparison. Rangers have the worst team ERA in the American League. It's 1.6 runs higher.
Especially, it's one thing if it was 2.88 50 years ago, or whenever the ERAs were a lot lower, early 70s maybe.
Chirinos, a base hit to left center field. Rios had to hold on a second, but he's going to be able to score right behind Beltre. And a 2 RBI single ties the ball game. Robinson Chirinos gets the job done. The Rangers have pulled even.
Well, he did get the job done. That's exactly what he did. He was behind in the count 0-2. He barely fouled off that good curveball and then ripped a low fastball past the shortstop into left center field. Oh, he's right on that ball. Good swing. Hit it right where he wanted to hit it. Right on the sweet part of the bat. The Rangers jump right back in thanks to the leadoff error.
Yep.
Allowed the inning to take place.
Chirinos at first now, still just 1 out. Here's Michael Joyce. Big rip and a miss. It is 0-1. We also want to go back and look at the sacrifice bunt Donnie Murphy had too. That set up that 2-run single.
The Rangers took advantage of their opportunity.
Michael Joyce hitting 194 with half a dozen home runs. 1-1 the count.
And that graphic for what the catchers have done since May 25th. Chris Jimenez and Robinson Chirinos. They're hitting, I think it was right around 348 extra base hits and RBIs, and add 2 more to it and another hit. The first at bat tonight.
The backdoor breaking ball makes it 1-2 to Joyce.
You mentioned the graphic, and here it is. 3 home runs and 14 RBIs coming into this game since May 25th. And add a couple of RBIs to that now.
Chirinos at first, 1 out, 1-2 the count to Joyce. Staying alive with that foul ball. Michael getting the start tonight in left field. Shin-Soo Choo had started 2 of the 3 games in Seattle in left field, but Ron Washington trying to help Choo manage that banged up ankle. So Michael Joyce to start in left. And Michael's gone into a bit of a downturn. Makes that pitch low. It's 2-2. Michael is hitless in his last 15 times to the plate, but we've seen this young man bounce back, and he'll be down for a little while, and all of a sudden he'll bounce back the 2 or 3 hit game and drive the ball to the alleys. Maybe he can do that against his former team here tonight. 2-2 offering. Call strike 3.
Well, he took the one before it, a fastball, and then he took the breaking ball. It looked like it was in the same spot. First time he got the call, and the second time he gets rung up on it. No, looked like one was a strike and one wasn't. That was a tough pitch to hit. Perfect location if you're the pitcher.
Well, Michael Joyce gone looking. That is out number 2. And now Rougned Odor, the number 9 hitter, will come up. Chirinos still at first base. Pomeranz getting ready to throw his 22nd pitch of this second inning. Odor takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Rougned at 286 with the average, a couple of home runs. He has driven in 14. was hitless in the 2 games that he played in Seattle, went 0 for 7. Pomeranz gets the sign, sets at the belt. Another breaking ball, and that one hung up for him a little bit. Odor swinging through it. 0-2. Pomeranz throws a knuckle curve where he holds it like a knuckleball almost and pushes his fingers out to impart the spin on it. Kind of a unique way to throw the curveball. It certainly works for him. Line drive, base hit left field. Odor had 2 curveballs that he couldn't handle, and Pomeranz tried to get the fastball by him, and Rugnes said, no, not going to do it.
That's when you just ought to leave well enough alone right there. Said, well, I know he can't hit my curveball. Let's see if he can hit my fastball. Yep, he can.
I'm sure you've heard it said, one of the most infuriating things, I think, for guys, for major league pitchers to do when you go down to the minor leagues in a rehab assignment is try and set up single and double A hitters. You can't do it because they don't think the same way you do. Rugnes up there looking for a fastball, and you could have thrown him 30 curveballs before that. He still would have hit the fastball.
Yeah, and I think that's the way most hitters are. Most hitters are going to look for a fastball and adjust to the breaking ball. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Especially with 2 strikes, it's difficult to look for a breaking ball. If you get a fastball, then you're just walking back to the dugout. Pomeranz has a really good curveball. And maybe he was trying to waste a fastball, throw it somewhere out of the strike zone when he's ahead in the count. Maybe just made a mistake. But whatever the case was, Rugnes was pretty happy with the pitch he saw.
The Rangers, the 3rd best team average against left-handed pitching this year in the major leagues. Daniel Robertson takes that breaking ball that hangs outside just a bit. Robertson started things tonight by taking a call 3rd strike. So 0 for 1, currently hitting at 182. He has Chirinos at second, Odor at first. Rangers have pushed 2 runs across to tie the ball game in here in the 2nd. And they're looking for more from Robertson. Fastball, knees for a strike, even the count at 1-1. Rangers making Pomeranz work in this inning. 27 pitch coming up now to Daniel Robertson. It's outside. It's 2-1. But the one thing that Pomeranz has had trouble with fairly consistently throughout his brief career has been the base on balls. He's had somewhere around 4 to 5 walks per 9 innings on average. Trying to get that down as a starter now. Breaking ball, and that comes in the zone. It's 2-2.
Coming into the season, Buzz, he'd walked 70 in 136 innings, so that is right around 5.
Two and two, 2 on, 2 out. 2 runs across. Pomeranz to the plate. We'll try it again. Right, you know, I suppose that walk figure, if you're a kind of guy that strikes out 10 or 11 hitters per 9 innings, you kind of accept that as development of a young strikeout pitcher, but that's not the case for Pomeranz. His strikeout totals have not been that high. They've been good, but not in that category. Another 2-2 pitch is on the way. Robertson spoiling a breaking ball that stayed up. And we'll get another 2-2 pitch. Rangers accomplishing a couple of things in this inning. They've tied the score, have a chance to take the lead. They've also gotten Pomeranz's pitch count up, and you mentioned, Tom, their days of being careful with him as far as overworking him. That could pay dividends, that pitch count, in a very short order. Swinging strike 3, and Robertson gone on strikes for the 2nd time, but the Rangers tie it. They get 2 runs on 3 hits and an error and strand 2. After 1.5, we are tied at 2 apiece. For a chance to have a showing on one of our upcoming broadcasts, and that's all thanks to the good folks at AT&T. Use hashtag Southwest Fan Photo, and your photo might be selected to be aired during the season. We'll give you, show you tonight's selected photo a little bit later on in the telecast. Ranger fans, even showing up here at OAK Coliseum. Cool evening, temperature in the upper 50s. Wind is always in the Coliseum, swirling. The flag's in right, blowing out to right. The flag's in left, blowing out to left. Go figure. Colby Lewis back to work here in the second inning, and he fires first pitch to Derek Norris outside for ball 1. Bottom third of the A's order to face Colby Lewis. Derek Norris, one of the hottest A's of late, 305 the average. 7 home runs, 29 driven in. 1-0 pitch, and that will even things up, and a ball and a strike. What the month of June for Derek Norris. 2 home runs, 4 RBI, and he's gone 9 for 23. Might as well add one more to that as he shoots one to left center field. Joyce bobbles it. That's going to allow Norris to head into second. Michael Joyce kind of got handcuffed out there as he went to pick up that ball from Derek Norris, and Norris kept on going. It'll be a single and an error for the A's catcher.
And as you played more and you know the hitters a little bit better, that you realize on that kind of a ball, it depends on who's running. But with Norris running, you don't have to retrieve it quite as quickly as you would if, say, Coco Crisp hit that ball. He's got a little bit more time to just catch the ball and get it in. I think Michael rushed that a little bit. May not have had to rush it a little bit, and that's what led to the error.
The pitch outside now to Stephen Voth, the right fielder. Well, he's playing right field tonight. He's a catcher by trade, but they're going to give Derek Norris a double on that play. That's a little tough.
That's a generous one, but
yeah.
Okay.
I'll take the error away from Michael Joyce if you had written one down and you're scoring along with us tonight. Colby back to the plate. Vogt takes the pitch outside. 3 balls and no strikes. Colby trying to get Vogt to offer, and he just wouldn't do it on anything off the plate. Vogt hitting 8th. He'll be followed by the switch hitting second baseman Alberto Callaspo. 3-0 pitch. Now 3-1.
And the big catcher hustling all the way to second base.
Pop foul by Vogt and back out of play. It's now 3-2. So 3-2 to Vogt with nobody out. Norris at second base. Rangers have Rougned Odor playing about midway between first and second. They have shifted him over there and playing a step or so on the outfield grass. Payoff pitch. Popped up. Shallow left, going out. Elvis Andrus making the call and the catch for out number 1. And that's a very big out with Norris staying at second. Ball looked like he got... wind played some tricks with it. Elvis stayed with it nicely, and now Callaspo comes up.
A's are the only team in Major League Baseball that have not used a rookie player this year. An interesting note from the A's. Teams like the Rangers have used a little bit more than 1 or 2.
Yeah. You see the Rangers have used 11.
11?
Yeah. And they aren't even the tops. The Angels have used 12 this year. Now the Rangers, the Yankees, and the Diamondbacks have all used 11. A's still looking for their first rookie player this year. Here's Alberto Callaspo, just back off the paternity list. His wife gave birth to a son, and he's back now. He was put on the list on Friday. Over his last 8 times to the plate.
Hey, he had hit to another guy that's slumping. I think he was 1 for 28 on their last road trip.
That's right.
His average is down to 218. So the numbers that were kind of shooting out there first time through the lineup for some of these guys would lead you to believe the A's wouldn't be the team with the best record in the American League. But again, it goes back to their pitching. They have the best pitching in baseball. And the other thing they have is they have timely hitting. They have guys that are slumping, but like they've always got someone to hit a 3-run homer.
Well, Donnie Murphy picks off that high chopper, goes to the bag ahead of Callaspo. That is out number 2. On to third goes Norris. And he's there now for Coco Crisp. Yeah, and you know, that's a pretty common theme, Tom. I know some of the teams that you and I played against back in the 70s were like that too here in Oakland. They wouldn't hit for a high average, but they'd hit a lot of 3-run home runs.
Yeah.
And they had great pitching.
And the A's, the A's will take a walk, obviously. They lead the major leagues in walks. So they always have a lot of men on base, and they've got power throughout their lineup. And a lot of those guys, when they hit their home runs, like Derek Norris has 7 home runs. 5 of his 7 home runs have come with at least 2 men on base. So one swing of the bat after a walk and a little single puts 3 runs up on the board. When your team ERA is 2.88, then that's generally enough to win a game.
Yep, it is. Coco Crisp up there, and Colby Lewis now. He needed to find a way to get Crisp. Coco led off the game by doubling to left center field. He's got Derek Norris, the runner, down at third with 2 outs. 2-2 ball game here in the bottom of the second. That's just off the outside corner. 2 balls and no strikes. Crisp this year against the Rangers is really giving them fits. A .429 average. A home run, 4 driven in. And you would think, given that and the way Crisp swung the bat his first time, that Colby would be a little bit careful with him, and it sure looks like that how he's going about it. Now Crisp ahead of the count, 3-0. He is leading off in their number 1 spot. John Jaso, the DH, waits to be next. Lewis set, and the 3-0 coming. Anthony's 3-1. Coco Crisp, the veteran, and for the last couple of years here with the A's, he has really upped his game. At a time when a lot of guys had their careers winding down, Coco Crisp has kicked it into another gear. He takes ball 4 here. Colby Lewis refusing to give in to him, and that's the first walk of the game for Colby Lewis. It puts runners at the corners for John Jaso.
Now ready, designated hitter, number 5, John Jaso.
Well, now if you're Colby, you've been careful with Crisp. He didn't hurt you. Now you have to reset your sights and go after John Jaso. Jaso swung at the first pitch he saw and lined one into left center field his first time up. That plated Crisp with the first run of the game. Rangers playing Jaso around to the right on the infield, the outfield, maybe a step or so to the right. First pitch, and Colby takes something off, leaves it outside for ball 1, and Robinson Chirinos go out there and have a little chat with Colby Lewis. Now, sometimes it's not as easy as you might think to be careful with a guy like Coco Crisp, where you're almost pitching around him, and then immediately go after the next hitter aggressively. You've kind of given up your aggressiveness by not wanting Crisp to have anything good to hit. Now you have to go after John Jaso aggressively, and you may not have it right away. You may have to recycle your thoughts. 1 ball, no strikes. Crisp, of course, still with very good speed at first base. 11 stolen bases in 13 attempts for the A's center fielder. He's on the move. The pitch is a little bit outside, and no throw to second. The Rangers not even bothering to defend that stolen base for Coco Crisp, his 12th of the year. Robinson Chirinos holding that pose, wondering where that pitch was. See nobody even bothering to cover second base. 2-0 now, the count to Jaso. And ball 3 is low. And Jaso, as most of the A's hitters are, very, very patient. He's gone to 3 balls and no strikes. You have first base open, but you have the very dangerous Yoenis Cespedes on deck, and that's who the Rangers are going to choose to face now that Colby had fallen behind 3-0. The intentional walk. Bases are full for Cespedes. Cespedes had a sacrifice fly to left his first time up, and I think Colby Lewis will take another one right here. And 2 outs for the A's. Norris at third, Crisp at second, Jaso at first. This year, Cespedes 4 for 6 with the bases loaded. Colby working from the stretch, the first pitch. A strike on the outside corner.
That's throwing it where you want to get ahead in the count.
Yep.
Robinson put the target down right on the outside corner, low and away. Colby drilled that one in there, get ahead, no balls and 1 strike. You get a dangerous hitter right here. And they hit it the same spot again.
Just missed outside. 1-1 now. The count to Cespedes. Cespedes 45 runs driven in this season against the Rangers. 5 ball games for Cespedes. A .308 average with 3 RBI. And again, Chirinos going out to talk to Colby Lewis. Colby putting that glove up in front of his face in case there are any lip readers on the A's bench. If you want to tip off what he was talking to Robinson about. Either that or he was worried about having bad breath. I'm not sure which it was.
He doesn't want us to know what he's saying.
1 ball and 1 strike. With a pretty good fastball, and Cespedes had a pretty good rip at it. It's 1-2.
you're Cespedes, you got to be thinking in the back of your mind, I just missed my fastball right there. I'm not sure he expected Kobe to throw him 3 straight fastballs like that.
I'd be shocked if he didn't get that slider right now. Colby's got it with him.
They can chase one out of the strike zone.
The 1-2 pitch. Popped him up.
He got him with a high fastball.
This is going to stay in play as Adrian Beltre through the coach's box has a play, and he makes it, and Colby Lewis works out of a bases loaded 2-out jam. No runs a hit. 3 men are left for Oakland. We're going to the third. 2-2 the score. '29th, the Rangers finish a 3-game set with the Twins, and the first 10,000 kids 13 and under will receive an Adrian Beltre plastic bat. That's courtesy of tickets.com. It's also Bluebell Ice Cream Sunday, and all kids 13 and under can get ice cream for just $1. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Great time out at the ballpark, and a nice little giveaway with Adrian Beltre's name on it. A 2-2 game, and the Rangers come to bat here in the top of the 3rd inning. It'll be Elvis Andrus, Shin-Soo Choo, and Adrian Beltre to face Drew Pomeranz. Elvis singled to center on a 3-2 pitch, his first time up there. Pomeranz throws a knee-high strike. It is 0-1. Elvis now a .265 average after that first inning single. 7-game hitting streak now alive for Elvis. He's hit just over 360 in that span. Breaking ball, and that bends over the outside corner. 0-2. Elvis in that just completed Seattle stop on this trip went 4 for 13, 308 mark. A couple of stolen bases in 3 games up there. 1-2 as Pomeranz tried to bring that breaking ball back in the back door again. 370. That's 7-game streak for Elvis. Trying to get aboard to lead off the Ranger 3rd inning. Shallow right field. Vogt started back. That comes on. Plenty of time to get there, and Ellis guy is out. 1 gone for Shin-Soo Choo. Let's take time here for a Mazda game break, and Dana Larson has it. Dana?
Now batting, number 17, Shin-Soo Choo.
All right, Dana, thank you. First pitch to Chu is a fastball that's just a bit outside for ball one. Jinsu grounded into a 4-6-3 double play the first inning. Hit the ball right on.
He did. He had a good swing at it.
Best part of the bat.
Sure did.
But unfortunately, he hit it right into Alberto Callaspo, the second baseman. Breaking ball, and that just catches the inside corner. 1-1. Jinsu, of course, at one time was the leading hitter against left-handed pitchers in the American League. He's fallen off a bit, but still hitting over 300 against left-handers. 309 coming into play tonight. Another breaking ball, and just caught the inside corner again. 1-2. There's a breakdown this year. Jinsu at 235 against right-handers. 309 against the southpaws. Pomeranz back to the plate. Got him swinging.
Well, definitely made him aware of the breaking ball. He took a couple of curveballs near the middle part of the plate, and then on the third one, Pomeranz buried this one down and away, and he wasn't able to make any contact with it. Ones before it were actually on the inner part of the plate.
Our steel pitch tracker showing you the locations Tom was telling you about. No, 2 gone. Here's Adrian Beltre, who reached via an error. And he hammers this one on one hop down to Donaldson. And that'll do it. So Pomeranz has a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 inning. Rangers gone in order after 2.5. Rangers 2, A's 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. A beautiful shot of the sun setting over the San Francisco Bay, the East Bay with Oakland and Alameda County. The site of Odotco Coliseum. A 2-2 game as Brandon Moss leads off against Colby Lewis. First pitch is hit high in the air to straightaway center field. Drifting over to his right a bit, Daniel Robertson underneath. And makes the grab for out number 1. So 1 pitch and 1 away for Colby Lewis. Now Josh Donaldson will come to the plate.
Both pitchers kind of in need of a quick third inning. Pomeranz got one. Colby's trying to do the same thing. Both of them had relatively high pitch counts. In fact, very high pitch counts through 2 innings. He's left the bases loaded in the second. Scored a couple in the first.
Josh Donaldson flied to right, his only time up there tonight. He takes the first pitch from Colby, a fastball that cuts over the inside corner for strike 1. Donaldson hitting .249, but he has 17 home runs. That is tops on the A's club. 51 RBI, second on the team to Brandon Moss. Colby ahead of the count very quickly, 0-2.
Yeah, Moss, I mean, Donaldson, not taking the same swings he was taking early in the season. He looks tentative. You can tell he's struggling, by the way. That doesn't mean he's not going to come out of it with one swing of the bat.
Yeah.
But the swings he's taken so far in this game are not the swings we saw earlier in the season.
Just off the outside corner. Colby trying to pinpoint that and just missed. One ball and 2 strikes. And another check swing. He appealed down at first. No swing. 2-2 now.
A's have a very highly regarded hitting coach, Chili Davis, who we just showed. There's Chili. An excellent hitter himself. By all accounts, he does an excellent job teaching the A's hitters.
Hopper down to third, and Beltre has to go off his glove, but it's in foul territory.
Adrian was trying to keep it fair, getting to it as quickly as he could, and try to make it a fair ball the way he caught it. He didn't catch it. Then luckily it wasn't a fair ball.
Mike Molinsky, the third base umpire, right, looking straight down the line at third base. And he immediately threw his hands up in the air and was signaling foul ball as that ball clanked off the glove of Adrian Beltre. Well, the count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. You talk about Donaldson being a little tentative, Tom. I think an 0 for 33 would do that to you, wouldn't it? And a sky ball down the right side. A long run for the 3 Rangers in pursuit. And into the bullpen. Alex Rios couldn't quite get there. That ball dropping untouched. Rougned Odor also down there to take a stab at it. Now, 3 things you really need to know about Josh Donaldson. 4th in the American League MVP voting last year. He converted from a catcher to a third baseman in the spring of 2012. And he still collects baseball trading cards.
Good for him. Collecting cards is a whole different hobby now than it was 50 years ago. But maybe he collects cards from 50 years ago.
Another 2-2. The count has gone full.
You know, Buzz, one time, the first year I played AAA baseball in Buffalo, I was 0 for at least 40. I think it was 41. And toward the end of that streak, we were staying in a hotel that was about 6 or 7 miles outside from the ballpark. I got so upset, I walked back to the hotel after the game. I walked like 7 miles back to the hotel. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to see the players. I didn't want to have anybody say, hang in there.
Yeah.
Hey, don't get your head down. You're having good at bats, or whatever they might say. You don't even want to hear that. I just wanted to go back and put my head down and close my eyes and wake up the next day.
Make sure the sun was going to come up.
You literally feel like you might never get a hit again.
Yeah. Feel like you don't have any friends in the world.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling, boy.
Colby's gotten a couple of pretty quick outs here. Now Jed Lowry comes to the plate. Takes the pitch low and outside for ball 1.
You know, then the season ends, and you look back on your season. You go, boy, if I could have taken that 0 for 40 out, I would have had a good year. I would have hit 280 instead of 240.
2-0. Yeah, unfortunately, the stats folks aren't buying that.
They don't quite do that. I've heard that one in arbitration before. Well, such and such a starting pitcher, if you take his 3 worst starts out, he would have had a 3.72 ERA. Well, really? Why don't you take the 3 shutouts out instead?
Lowry drops one in. It gets by Michael Choice. It's going to roll to the wall. Lowry around second is going for third. The throw, and out at third base is Jed Lowry.
Michael just wanted to make him go to third so he could get out of the inning. Let it get by you and throw him out at third. That's pretty good strategy.
Oh, goodness. So Michael Choice with a 1-hop throw to Beltre. They get Lowry trying to stretch a double into a triple. Side retired, 1 hit, nobody left. And after 3 complete, it is a 2-2. Had a long battle. battle with cancer, and our thoughts go out to the Padre organization, to Tony Gwynn's wonderful family, and all of our best to Tony's family from the folks here with Fox Sports Southwest.
At 2, Buzz mentioned this is a sad day in baseball. There was a poignant and very meaningful moment of silence for Tony Gwynn before the game. A couple of Rangers coaches were teammates of his, including bullpen coach Andy Hawkins.
It's a shame, a real shame. We knew he had trouble, you know, but I didn't know it was this bad, you know. And so it was a surprise. But I know he's got lots of friends around there. At least he'll be okay. They got a lot of family there, and he was a blessed individual, and he's very well loved.
And those who knew Tony Gwynn feel blessed to have known him. And as Buzz said, our thoughts and prayers with the family of Tony Gwynn and the Padres organization tonight, guys. Back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Alex Rios starting off for the Rangers here in the 4th inning, a 2-2 ball game. And Rios shoots one to left field, a base hit. Like you got a hanging breaking ball from Pomeranz. And Rios with his 2nd straight single. He is aboard to start off the Ranger 4th inning.
He ripped a fastball back through the middle the first time up. And then to spread it out a little bit, he hit a curveball this time. Both of them well hit base hits. Smooth swinging. Hard hitting.
Boy, Alex, he has been the model of consistency for this whole season for the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then he'll go 1 for 7 or 0 for 8.
Yeah.
It doesn't extend, and then he comes right back.
And Donnie Murphy drives one to dead center field. Crisp is back at the wall. Goodbye. Donnie Murphy driving one out to dead central, and the Rangers lead it 4-2. That's Murphy's 2nd home run in this ballpark this year.
I know one thing, he got a hold of that thing. There'd be plenty of times tonight where we might have said, very tough to hit one out to dead center field or to the left or right of center field. And Donnie Murphy jumped on one and hit that thing 410 feet.
Holy cow.
Wow. Well, he figures, I'm not a middle infielder tonight. I'm a first baseman. I got to hit like a first baseman. He got a fastball right in the middle of the plate, and he tattooed that ball.
So Donnie Murphy with his 3rd home run of the year. Rangers up by a pair now on Robinson Chirinos, fouling it straight back. Donnie Murphy telling Daniel Robertson that's how you do it.
You know, Pomeranz came into the game coming off of 2 7-inning games where he only gave up 2 earned runs in 14 innings. Came into the game with a 1.90 ERA and a 2.04 opponent's batting average, and the Rangers are lighting him up pretty good. They haven't had cheap hits off him.
No.
Hitting the ball hard.
Well, you know, if I remember right, too, Donnie Murphy got Sonny Gray as we take a look at this.
Yeah, I think
shot
he
by
did.
for the first home run that Gray had given up.
Yeah, yeah.
He took that to right field. Little pop-up foul territory. Over to get it is the first baseman, Moss. And Chirino's retired. That is out number 1. And Michael Choice coming up. Yeah, let's take a look at the. I think that went a long way. How fast was it going when it left the bat?
I don't know how to predict a high fly ball. Usually they're line drives. I'll say 90. 99. Wow. I wouldn't think the ball would go as fast off the bat going straight up in the air like that. I guess you have to hit it hard to get it to go 400 feet, right?
I guess.
I thought a line drive would be harder than a fly ball. Hit harder than a fly ball.
Michael Choice called out on strikes his first time up there. So the average now 192 for the young Ranger. 1 ball, no strikes. Now 2 balls and no strikes.
Tom Geyer and his daughter Cindy are here from Carrollton for tonight and tomorrow's games. They want to say hi to all their friends back in Texas. They just started a 7-day, 8-game, 5-city California baseball trip.
Wow.
They'll be at the Angels game before heading home. Nice father and daughter trip. Dad's lucky to have a daughter that likes baseball so much and take that trip with him.
The only thing better is if they were going Dutch. 3 balls, no strikes. The count. Choice waiting. And ball 4. Well, Pomeranz not really close with the 3-0 pitch. And Michael Choice aboard with the walk. Pomeranz. This is that last play, the ball that Jed Lowry hit to left. Michael Choice just setting up Lowry, huh? Is that
Right, it goes as a single, an error that let him get to second, and then he gunned him down at third. So if he doesn't make that error, who knows what would have happened then?
That's true.
Maybe the next guy hits a home run.
That should have been a double error. It should have been an error on Michael, and then he get to second, an error on Lowry to get thrown out of third. Get a base running error.
Yeah, I don't think Lowry thought that Michael could gun him down from way out there, but he threw a 1-hop strike to third.
Well, that's kind of like that play that he should have known that Cespedes made down in Anaheim 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago. Ball got by him, and Cespedes threw the guy out at home plate from the right field foul pole. Wow. 305 feet, I think, they were just inside the foul pole. I think it was 305 feet. He threw it on a line.
I didn't see that one. I heard about it. We were talking about that the other day. The Cuban outfielders, Cespedes, Leonis Martin, and Yasiel Puig for the Dodgers. All of them with great arms.
Pomeranz going to work on Michael Choice at first.
It's fun to line all 3 of them up in the outfield and let them all throw. See who actually has the best arm. Put a radar gun on them. Rose said we wanted to see Craig Gentry race Mike Trout. Something we'll never see, but it'll be a lot of fun to watch it.
That'd be our version of the baseball X Games.
Yeah, you could do it. You know, I always thought you could do something like that at the All-Star game, but they have a home run derby. I guess the risk of injury is not that great in a home run derby, but possibility for a pulled hamstring or a quad muscle in a race, I guess, is something that would discourage that. But everybody guesses who the fastest players are, but it'd be nice to put them in a 40 or 60-yard dash and find out for sure who is the fastest.
Rougned Odor, a rip and a miss. He finds himself now down to the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
Especially if you put a little bit of money on it.
Yeah.
You know,
a little incentive.
$25,000 to the fastest player in baseball.
Pomeranz ready. A check of Choice at first. Line drive left field. That is down for a base hit. The second goes Choice. He stops there, and Odor 2 for 2. A pair of hits to left field. Rougned Odor not at all gun shy about going up against the lefty Pomeranz.
Yeah, I mentioned that lefties have hit higher against Pomeranz this year than righties. First time up, Rougned ripped a fastball. This time he gets a hanging curveball and hits that solidly into left field.
The Rangers now 7 hits They have runners at first and second. Still just one out. Daniel Robertson coming up for his third at bat. Robertson has struck out both times that he's faced Pomeranz tonight. Left-hander, a check of second. The first pitch is a breaking ball that finds the zone. It is strike one.
Pomeranz has only had one bad start coming into this game. That was against the Angels 3 starts ago. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 5 runs. But this is the most hits he's given up in a start.
0-1 pitch. Now 0-2 as Daniel Robertson fouls it out of play. This year, the Rangers a .254 team average with runners in scoring position. You've got Michael Choice out at second base, Rougned Odor trailing him at first. Rangers leading 4-2. Trying to add some more here in the 4th inning. Pomeranz has a sign to work with, a check of the runners. Up the middle, base hit to center field. Choice being waved around third. On his way to third is Odor. Choice scores an RBI single for Daniel Robertson, and the Rangers take a 5-2 lead. A good job of hitting there by Robertson to take it right back through the middle.
Well, they say baseball's a funny game, and you look at this game coming into it, and you see the way Pomeranz was pitching. Again, a 1.90 ERA and a 2.04 opponent's batting average, and you don't expect them to get lit up like this, but the Rangers are hitting the ball hard. Rios' ball was scalded. Murphy hit a 400-foot home run. Rougned lined one into left. Daniel ripped that ball up the middle. Donnie Murphy with a 2-run homer. Robinson Chirinos a 2-run single, and now Daniel Robertson with an RBI hit up the middle.
And now Elvis hits a chopper into the hole. The second they get one, the return to first not in time. In to score is Odor. Elvis with an RBI on the fielder's choice ground out. It is 6-2 Texas. Elvis just enough in the hole where the A's could not turn the double play. Good job by Daniel Robertson making it tough on Cayaspo to get off a strong throw at second.
Well, Daniel was talking to John Radigan before the game, and he was talking about he's been here for a while now. He's gotten to know the players. He feels like part of the team. He's more relaxed. Feels good when his name is in the lineup, and here he comes through with an RBI hit. Good for him.
So Elvis now at first. He has 17 RBI for the year. Pomeranz will drive him back with a toss. Shin-Soo Choo is the hitter, and Choo tonight has grounded into a double play and struck out. The Rangers with 4 in the 4th have opened up a 6-2 lead. They have out-hit the A's 8-5.
Go!
1 ball, no strikes. Ryan Cook, hard throwing right-hander, loosening in that A's bullpen. Shin-Soo a .256 average as he faces Pomeranz, with Elvis at first and 2 outs here in the 4th inning. And ball 2 is down and away. Well, Pomeranz, 74 pitches. He's not out of the 4th inning yet. Donnie Murphy took him deep, a 2-run blast to get this inning going. Since then, the Rangers have pecked away with a walk and a couple more singles. Choo waiting as Pomeranz sets a check of Andrews at first. The pitch is outside. 3 balls and no strikes. Well, Choo eyeballing a couple of close pitches from Pomeranz. If Choo is able to extend this Ranger 4th inning, Adrian Beltre looms in the on-deck circle. inning by inning pitch count for Drew Pomeranz. A 31 pitch second. He's already at 20 in this inning. There's a strike. Makes it 3-1 to Drew. Rangers 4 hits and a walk in this inning. And that is accounted for the 4 runs. Pomeranz's next pitch. Looped down the left field line. It's slicing and going foul. One hopping into the A's bullpen down there. We'll come back and try it on 3-2. Rangers tonight with 2 strikes, and that's happened 6 times. They've gone 4 for 6 with 3 RBI. That's not suggesting that the Rangers should wait until they get 2 strikes to do something.
Just take 2. Don't even take a chance on making it out until you get 2 strikes.
Elvis on the move. The payoff pitch is line foul. Well, Elvis will retrace his steps, and Shin-Soo Choo will have another shot at Pomeranz. Elvis, the ever-present smile as he's going back to first, mentioning something to Brandon Moss down there, the A's first baseman. Another 3-2. Breaking ball is wide, ball 4. And we'll see if that's going to do it, and it is. Here comes Bob Melvin out of the A's dugout. He is going out to take his left-hander back to the dugout with him. So Pomeranz finished after 3 2/3 innings tonight. He will depart down by a 6-2 count, and 2 runners aboard are his responsibility. So Ryan Cook will be summoned to see if he can't coax Adrian Beltre into the final out of the 4th inning. Pomeranz finished for the night. Pitching change underway here in Odacco Coliseum. Rangers on top 6-2. Back, and you can join us for a fan sleepover at Globe Life Park in Arlington on Thursday, July 3rd. You can camp out under the stars in the outfield, enjoy a fireworks show, and cheer on your Texas Rangers as they take on the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. Log on to TexasRanger.com/sleepover. Purchase your tickets today. Ryan Cook, hard-throwing right-hander, on to face Adrian Beltre with runners at first and second and 2 out here in the 4th inning.
Cook's numbers on the season, his 18th ball game. ERA of over 4, 4.11. Not that long ago, he made the All-Star team as the A's closer.
Beltre 0 for 2, and he lines one to right field. That sends both back. It's over his head and all the way to the wall. Elvis scores. Choo on his way around third. The throw not in time. And the Rangers plate 2 more. It is 8-2 Texas, as Beltre is in at second.
That ball was really hit hard. And, you know, Vogt hasn't played all that much in the outfield, but that's, if you're going to be a relatively inexperienced outfielder, that's going to be the toughest one that you can have to handle. A line drive that's hit directly at you over your head. It's the hardest one to get a good jump on and go back and catch. You have to really anticipate where the ball is going to be, sometimes turn your back on the ball and sprint to a spot to try to catch it. He kind of drifted after that ball and was just hit too hard, and he never could get to it. Another rope for the Rangers.
Adrian Beltre, the 9th hitter to come to the plate for the Rangers in the 4th inning. And he turned Stephen Vogt all the way around out there in right field.
And it may have been that no matter how an outfielder went after that ball, he couldn't have caught it.
Yeah.
You know, when he first started to go back on it, it looked like he might have a beat on it, but the ball was hit still way over his head. It might not have mattered one way or the other.
So Alex Rios, who began all of this in the 4th inning by singling, up for the 2nd time. Rangers have batted around, and it's been a while since we've seen the Rangers do that. Good to see them break out the offense here at Odotco Coliseum against the A's.
Yep, they're facing a guy at a 1.90 ERA and a team that has the best ERA in all of baseball, and they've smacked 9 hits for 8 runs.
And a fly ball pretty well hit to center, but not carrying anywhere other than into Coco Crisp's glove. That'll do it for the Rangers, but 10 men come to the plate. 6 of them score. Donnie Murphy got it started with his 2-run blast. We're going to the bottom of the 4th. It's now the Rangers 8 and the A's 2. Watch Chevy Hometown Kids every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, right here on Fox Sports Southwest, where it's not about the score, it's about the experience. And the folks that have donned their Ranger gear have to be pretty pleased with what they've seen so far through the first 3.5. The Rangers 8 runs on 9 hits. The A's 2 runs on 5 hits. Colby Lewis back to the mound now, and he will face the bottom third of the Oakland order. Derek Norris, Stephen Vogt, and Alberto Callaspo. Norris doubled to left center field his first time up. First ball swinging. It's popped up high in the air down the third baseline. Elvis Andrus just in foul territory captures it. So 1 pitch and 1 away.
That's that kind of twilight sky that sometimes blends right in with the ball. It's not blue, it's not black yet. It's kind of a grayish color, and the ball being rubbed up to a grayish color blends in and can sometimes cause you a little bit of a problem.
We're going to see it, and we've talked about it every time there's a day game up here, Tom. But I wonder which would be tougher, the twilight here in the Coliseum or the high skies you get during day games?
Yeah, it's they both can be tough. You know, especially if the sun plays a part in it. I guess I try my luck on the gray sky and twilight rather than the high sky and the bright sunshine in your face.
Have a better chance, maybe.
I think you would
see the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to.
We're going to have a chance to do that on Wednesday.
Here's Stephen Vogt, who popped out to Elvis his first time up also. Colby's next pitch to him is inside. 2 balls and a strike. Now Colby staked to a 6-run advantage now with that 6-run fourth. Trying to be very economical here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Vogt drives one to center. Daniel Robertson back toward the alley in left center, puts it away. This is a great ballpark from now until the end of the ballgame to get fly balls.
Yeah. Unless
you get
balls up and in, let him pop them up to center field.
Unless you get it from Donnie Murphy, who apparently is strong enough to drive it out. Donnie driving that ball a good 415 or 20 feet to deep center field. Got it out of the ballpark. 2 up, 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th. Alberto Callaspo up. And takes a pitch just outside for ball 1. Callaspo grounded out to Donnie Murphy at first in the 2nd inning. Lewis back to the plate. The pitch fouled back. Since the beginning of May, hard to believe a guy like Alberto Callaspo hitting just 173, and I say that because Callaspo is one of those guys that very rarely strikes out. He just puts the ball in play, and it can seem like you have to just accidentally run into a better than a 173 average.
Well, he's either hitting in a lot of bad luck or he's hitting the ball awfully soft.
2-1 the count to him. Colby has the sign. Into the wind he goes. And Callaspo fouls it off to the left. So 2-2 the count. Colby rubbing up a new rock out there. Has that Pearl to work with. 63 pitches now for the Ranger right-hander. So get him on the next couple of pitches. You got a chance to get your pitch count right back in order with where you want it. 2-2 offering. Now 3-2. Now Callaspo hitting 9th. If he gets aboard, he would take the A's back to the top of the order for Coco Crisp. Lewis with a payoff pitch. Up the middle off of Colby's foot. And that's going to ricochet over to the bag at third. Going to be a base hit.
Second straight game. Didn't Colby get hit? Wasn't that the last game he got hit in the arm?
Sure did.
That one doesn't seem to bother him very much, though, so it must have hit him in a good part of his foot.
Sounded like got him on the shoe.
Yeah, I think it must have gotten some leather in the hard part of the leather, too, because he's not even limping.
A skate save and a dandy.
Right in the bottom of his heel. You got to get hit by a 90-mile-an-hour line drive. I guess that's the spot to get it in. Didn't even flinch.
Nope. Oh, Callaspo at first. That is the 6th hit of the night against Colby Lewis. And here's Coco Crisp. First pitch is high for ball 1. Crisp been aboard both times tonight. Had a double and scored a run in the first. In the second, walked. Swiped second, but was stranded at second base as the A's left the bases full. 1-0 pitch. Now 2-0. Crisp at 278 with the average. Chirinos flashing the signs out. 2-0 pitch. Hit pretty well to left center, right center field, I should say, over to his left. Daniel Robertson puts it away, and that will do it. So the 2-out single off of Colby's foot, no damage as far as we can tell. We're going to the 5th inning. It is 8-2 Rangers. Tomorrow night here in Oakland, and Wednesday afternoon, then head down south. An off day on Thursday, and then over the weekend, 3 against the Angels in Anaheim. An off day on a week from today on Monday, then 3 with Detroit, 3 with Minnesota, back at Globe Life Park. Donnie Murphy starting things off against Ryan Cook here in the 5th inning. Murphy, a 2-run blast to dead center field. Got the Rangers going on that 6-run 4th inning. Donnie also a sacrifice bunt his first time. Fouls back the next pitch. It's 1-1. Our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery will take you back to last inning. Donnie Murphy driving it out of here to the deepest part of dead center field. A freaky fast delivery from Donnie Murphy, his 3rd home run of the year, and the 2nd he's hit in this ballpark this year. Murphy now down on the count, 1-2 to Ryan Cook. And Murphy making the most of a start at first base, and he'll probably, with another left-hander on the mound tomorrow, probably get the start at first base again. Cook to the plate. The pitch hit high in the air back into the seats on the first base side. Still 1-2. Donnie Murphy 0 for 3 in the Seattle series. Pulls this one on the ground, sharply hit, but right at Josh Donaldson. 1 gone. Now our lows never stop improving feature. How about Robinson Chirinos? Last 11 games, .324 with 3 home runs and 9 RBI. That right on the heels of the 10 games before that when he had a .129 and didn't drive in a run. That's pretty good improvement right there.
That's a lot of improvement.
Chirinos, we talked about it in our opening remarks prior to tonight's game. To Chirinos and Chris Jimenez, well, what a tandem they have become behind the plate. Doing it all, offensively, defensively.
Now, I would think as well as he's swinging the bat right now that Ron Washington would say what he appreciates, there's another rope, what he appreciates most is the job he's done defensively behind the plate.
Yeah.
Good game for Robinson offensively tonight.
He's 2 for 3 now with a pair of very hard hit singles. That one going to right center, and 1 on, 1 out for Michael Choice. Yeah, Wash has said, when asked about what does he expect from a backup catcher, or or even an everyday catcher that like Giovanni Soto, he said, look, the first thing that he has to do is handle the pitching staff, get them through their games. And he said that's what we expect our catchers to do, and certainly Robinson Chirinos has exemplified that. And a little offense now and then doesn't hurt. I don't think you'll find any of the pitchers that he worked with encouraging him to give back some of those RBIs.
No. A lot easier for them to win a game the better he's swinging it.
That's right. Michael Joyce takes a breaking ball that hits the inside corner for strike one.
Well, Michael walked and scored in the fourth inning. After Donnie hit the home run, Robinson popped up. Nobody on. Started another rally.
Pitch in the dirt. Of course, did a great job of knocking that thing down so that Chirinos couldn't advance.
Second rally of the fourth inning was bigger. He ended up with 4 runs. Walk, single, fielder's choice, walk, and then the clincher in the fourth inning was Beltre's 2-run double.
Yep. Beltre was the first hitter that Ryan Cook came on to face, and that didn't go too well for the A's. Well hit to left center field. Into the alley goes Cespedes, at the track, at the wall. Goodbye. Michael Joyce doing it against his former team. A blast to left center field, a 2-run jolt, and the Rangers lead it 10-2.
Well, you can turn a game around quickly. Michael had struck out his first time. He let a ball get by him in left field, and then in the fourth inning he walked in a big 6-run inning, and now in the 5th inning launches one deep to left field, way up in the air for a 2-run homer. You keep playing hard, you keep swinging, and you got talent like Michael's got. You get that hanging slider and launch it out of here. 7th home run, 26th run batted in for Michael.
Nice going, Michael Joyce. That's got to be doubly sweet for Michael. Not only get him off an 0 for, he was 0 for 16 prior to that, but against his former team.
Let's see, Donnie Murphy's was 99. I'm going to say that's 96. 99, they're both 99.
Must be something about 99 getting it up in the air here.
I think the machine's stuck myself.
There's a line drive off the bat of Rougned Odor, but nice play by Jet Lauer, the shortstop. And,
well, one thing we should have learned from that, Buzz, to hit a ball about roughly 400 feet, very, very high in the air. Maybe it takes 99 miles an hour to launch it.
It might.
Well, have Michael do it again. Do it again a little later in the game, Michael. I want to check it out one more time.
What we ought to have to do is hit one a little bit lower and see if it goes 99 and
yeah.
if it goes any further. No, 2 outs here in the Ranger 5th. And Daniel Robertson slicing one down the right field line, but that just slices a little bit too much. And he'll come back and try it with an 0-1 count. So Michael Joyce with his 7th home run of the year. He is now second on the Ranger club to Adrian Beltre's 8 with 7 home runs in very limited number of at-bats. 0-1 pitch to Robertson. And Daniel skies one to right. Coming on Stephen Vogt. Makes the grab, and that'll do it. But Michael Joyce with a long bomb of a 2-run home run gets the Rangers on the board again. His 7th home run of the year. We will
Leading off for the Athletics, number 5, John Jaso.
Now we'd invite you to come on out and meet Rangers pitcher Neil Kotz on June 26th at the Euless location of Whataburger. It's on Airport Freeway. Don't miss this chance to win great prizes and to meet one of your favorite Texas Rangers at Whataburger. There's Neil down there in that cozy Rangers bullpen, kind of out in the open out here in the Coliseum. John Jaso leading off against Colby Lewis here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Rangers leading now 10-2. Jaso taking strike 2. John Jaso tonight has been intentionally walked, and he's had an RBI single. Chops it foul. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes. And the heaters are going. And it's a cool night. Temperature in the upper 50s to start the game, but it cools off pretty good here very quickly. Blankets are called for. Not exactly the typical Texas attire for a baseball game.
I remember we had one of those in Montreal one day. Then it was freezing in Montreal. I mean, it was cold. It was like in the low 40s. And I did the same thing, whoever that is down in the bullpen, got close to the heater like that. It started to get a little warmer than I felt comfortable with, so I backed away, and it melted my outside sock and burned the white sock in between it. Had like mild burns from getting that. That's so cold, didn't even know it.
Swinging strike 3, and Colby Lewis gets his first strikeout of the night as he gets Jaso on a good hook. 1 gone.
Yeah, Colby's thrown a lot of fastballs the last couple of innings and gotten fly balls with it. This time he drops the good curveball in there and gets Jaso to swing at it.
A Chevy pitch tracker showing you that ball right down below the bottom of the strike zone. So 1 gone, and here is Yoenis Cespedes. Just see that report on the transactions the next day. Tom Green put on the 15-day disabled list with burns.
And then the other part of it was team better off now without him. Call up someone good.
Speaking about good, how about that play that Odor just made? He came in and snared a cue shot that had some crazy spin on it and threw out Cespedes for out number 2. Now let's head back to the studios in Dallas. Mazda game break with Dana Larson. Dana? All right, Dana, thank you.
Detroit's in a little bit of trouble.
Yep.
They're nose diving now. Let's see, that puts Kansas City within a half a game of first place, and Verlander is getting lit up every time out right now. Their ace. They're going to weather the storm. They've still got a good team, but boy, they're not playing that well right now. Kansas City, on the other hand, is playing great baseball.
Yeah, 8 straight.
Yeah,
8 straight wins. 0-2 the count to Brandon Moss, who is 1 for 2 tonight. Colby tried to get him to offer that breaking ball, couldn't do it. There's the Central standings, American League, a half game separating Detroit and Kansas City. Detroit down to 6 games over 500.
Yeah, if you're Kansas City and you say to yourselves, right now we're only half a game out, for 2 months of the season, 3, 4, 5 of their young hitters were hitting. They were slumping. They weren't hitting at all.
That ball is hammered to right field, and Moss, who had been in a bit of a home run drought, no longer.
I want to see how far that ball went.
Way out of here.
That ball had to go 480 feet. That's the longest one I've seen to right field.
Yep. Brandon Moss with his 17th home run of the year, and the Ranger lead is now 10-3.
Generally, if you can get it over the wall and into that first section 4 or 5 rows back, you've hit one a long way. That went past the aisle 3 or 4 or 5 rows back. I'd like to see the tail of the tape on this one. This is right in his wheelhouse, and boy, he puts a swing and a half on that one. Fortunately, there's no one on base. A solo shot.
And a base hit for Josh Donaldson going after that first pitch and hitting it into the hole. A 2-out single, and now Jed Lowry.
Way back there.
Moss, yeah. Brandon Moss, who had not had a home run in 7 games. And that tied for the longest drought that he'd had this year, and that drought is over. Donaldson follows up with a single, so he's aboard with 2 outs. Jed Lowry, 1 for 2, will step to the plate. Donaldson being held on over there by Donnie Murphy. The first pitch from Colby Lewis just outside for ball 1. Lowry's single came in the 3rd inning. He advanced to second on an error on the same play, and on the same play tried to go to third, was thrown out by Michael Joyce. Pitch is low and it's 2-0. He's now with 8 hits. They trail 10-3. They have now hit 11-8 by the Rangers. Colby trying to prevent any major uprising from starting here. And he misses outside. It's 3-0.
I'm saying 104 on this. It went farther than the other two and just as high. 105. Wow.
You're catching on now.
I'm starting to figure out those high flies. That was a test today. New territory for us.
Ball 4. Well, with 2 outs after the Brandon Moss home run, a first pitch single to Donaldson, then a walk to Lowry, and 2 on with 2 out. That'll bring Mike Maddox out of the Ranger dugout.
Yeah, and Derek Norris is a guy you have to be careful with. He's got some power. You mentioned he's hit 7 home runs. 5 of them have come with at least 2 men on base. And he's hitting over 300 with 150 at bats. Solid hitter who's walked as much as he's struck out this year. Really coming into his own as an offensive player. Got him in a trade with Washington. And he's middle of the order guy for him now.
Yeah, it looked for all intents and purposes like Colby was going to have a very quick inning, getting the first 2 hitters, Jaso and Cespedes, a total of 5 pitches, and then the dam has kind of burst. 2 on, 2 out. Norris, a double, and a pop out. First pitch is inside for ball 1. Budweiser pitching line for Colby Lewis, 4 2/3. 8 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, and a strikeout. One of those walks, the intentional variety. Got Donaldson at second, Lowry at first. 1-0 pitch on the outside corner. Norris double back in the 2nd inning was to left center field. And Sean Thomason now starting to loosen in the Ranger bullpen. Lewis with a 1-1. Hit hard, but right at Odor, who picks it off the top of the turf. Side retired, and the A's get a run on 2 hits and a walk. They lead 2. And we're going to the 6th inning in Oakland. The Rangers 10 and the A's 3. for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $200 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Dale Whitson from Mount Vernon. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Dale Whitson from Mount Vernon will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Now, Elvis Andrus will start things off, and a new pitcher on the hill for the Oakland A's. It is the veteran left-hander Jeff Francis.
Well, Jeff Francis has definitely been around. Pitched with a number of different teams. He's been a starting pitcher. He was a high draft choice by Colorado a while back. This season he's been in 4 games, struggled a little bit in only 5 2/3 innings. Not a hard thrower. He's kind of the epitome of a crafty left-hander.
Francis goes to Andrus, and Elvis promptly bangs it right back through the middle for a base hit. And Elvis going for 2. The throw by Crisp not in time. Elvis in with a hustling double, as he took advantage of Coco Crisp's inability to throw very well. And Elvis aboard with a 2-bagger to start things.
Yeah, that's exactly what should be in the game plan. You hit a ball to center field, if it's left or right, and you can run a little bit left of him or right of him, if Crisp can't charge the ball and has a relatively long throw to make, you should keep on going, because that's one of the one deficiency he has in his game is his arm strength. And Elvis took advantage of it and got in there easily.
Well, a dozen hits now for the Rangers, and Elvis has a couple of them. Shin-Soo Choo walked and scored his last time up. 0 for 2 officially. Francis to the plate. Choo chops it foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. Elvis getting his lead out at second base. He is at the bottom of your screen. Big breaking ball, and that comes to the inside corner. 1-2 to Choo. Choo in his career against Jeff Francis, 3 for 3. 2 of those have been doubles. He's also been hit by a pitch one time. It's out of play down the left side. We'll try it again, and a ball and 2 strikes. In fact, looking at the Ranger averages against Jeff Francis, he hadn't gotten a whole lot of them out in the past. Elvis now 2 out of 3 against Francis in the brief matchups. Way outside. Norris having to drop down to both knees to corral that pitch. 2-2 the count. Francis ready. A check of second. And Choo lost one into shallow center. On comes Crisp. Makes the catch. Elvis goes back, tags, advances to third ahead of the throw. Boy, Elvis taking advantage of Coco Crisp at every turn here in this inning.
Well, that's exactly what you should do. You look for weaknesses and try to exploit them. That was the second time that Elvis was able to do that. You can see the nice play that Crisp makes, but now when he throws it, you can see the high fly that he threw into third base.
Sure did. And that gives Adrian Beltre an opportunity here with Andrus at third and 1 out. And he hits a towering pop-up foul territory. There's all kinds of foul room here. Tagging at third is Andrus. He's coming to the plate. The throw by Donaldson. The slide. He's safe. How about that? A foul pop about 140 feet, 150 feet into foul territory. Donaldson made the catch and then had to battle the warm-up mound down there.
Yeah, that's just stealing a run right there. Now Elvis did a great job. If Donaldson is able to get back on this ball and catch it coming forward, Elvis probably can't score. But Donaldson catches it drifting back, then trips on the mound, and now has no chance to throw him out at the plate. That's just heads up, aggressive base running. Good instincts.
You hear about small ball? That is about as small as you can get, but it's doing the little things exactly right. Boy, Elvis had a plan, and he executed it on all 3 instances. Turning the base hit into a double, going from second to third on a line drive to right center, and then scoring on a foul pop-up.
Adrian can thank him for that no at-bat RBI situation.
And Rios now a grounder behind the bag. Donaldson drops it. He'll have no play. Well, the ball is finding Josh Donaldson. And we'll see how that one is ruled for Alex Rios.
Oh, the A's are a terrific team, and we've described their strengths a lot during this ball game, but one of their weaknesses is they're a little prone to making errors. Donaldson's made a lot of errors at third base. Lowry is probably a slightly below average defensive player. Chris doesn't throw well in center field, so there are some weaknesses. They're not a perfect team.
Donaldson assessed an error on that play. So Rios at first with 2 outs, and Donnie Murphy, who is 1 for 2, is at the plate. Pitch inside, brushes him back off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes. Donaldson, by the way, now has 14 errors this season. Tied with Pedro Alvarez of the Pirates for the most in baseball. His 5th error in the last 7 ball games for Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, in those last 7 games, he had 1 game where he made 3 errors in 1 game.
Donnie Murphy fouls it back. It's 2-2. And, you know, the strange thing about it, too, Tom, it's not just one guy that is prone to the error for the A's. They have several of them, as you pointed out. They haven't given up many unearned runs, so their pitching staff has been able to make up for that. They had the second fewest unearned runs in the American League behind Baltimore.
Yeah, that's just some great pitching after the errors are made. But they've got the best pitching, so I guess you would expect them to be that team.
That ball gets between the legs of Norris. Down to second is Rios, and just ahead of the throw as that ball bounced back very quickly to Derek Norris, and he made a good throw to second.
Yeah, if you're loafing to second, you're going to be out on that one.
Alex Rios with his good speed, and he needed it too.
Ball never came up for him.
So Rios now in scoring position. A count of 3-2 to Donnie Murphy. Jeff Francis with the payoff pitch. And a chopper foul outside third. We'll come back and try it again. Alex Rios reached on an error, advanced on the wild pitch. He's at second with 2 outs. Donnie Murphy trying to pick him up. Murphy with the big 2-run home run in the 4th inning. His 3rd of the year. He now has 13 runs driven in. That's out of play to the right. The Rangers have scored at least 1 run in each of the last 3 innings. They entered the 4th in a 2-2 tie and put 6 on the board in the 4th, 2 in the 5th. 1 more here in the 6th inning, and Alex Rios out there at second, hoping to be picked up by Donnie Murphy. Up the middle off of Francis. It caroms right to Cayaspo at second, who throws Murphy out. 1-4-3, and Donnie Murphy robbed of a base hit and an RBI. Rangers score 1 more. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. 11-3 Texas on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Take the EcoBoost Challenge to see why Ford is the best in Texas. Now, bottom of the 6th here at OAK Coliseum. Elvis Andrus literally manufacturing a run with his legs. He led off with a stretched double, advanced on a fly ball, and scored on a foul pop-up. The Rangers in front 11-3. Colby Lewis to work here in the bottom of the 6th. Stephen Vogt starting things off. Colby jumping out in front of the count. 0-1 pitch is laced foul down the third base side. Colby now at 0-2. Colby this year, only one time has he completed 6 innings. And only one time has he failed to at least go 5. So it's been getting through the 6th that has become a bit of a stumbling block, if you will. Both able to apparently foul tip that pitch, so he stays alive at 0-2. You would think a veteran like Colby, though, wouldn't have any problem convincing himself that, hey, 6 is just a number, I can get through that. But it's funny how things like that become a mental block with you sometimes.
And Colby's at 89 pitches right now. Bobby Ross warming up in the bullpen.
Got him swinging this time.
He tipped one of them, but he couldn't get the next one.
Good breaking ball. Colby Lewis with his 2nd strikeout. He has struck out the leadoff man in each of the last 2 innings.
Good breaking ball. Good, hard, downward breaking curveball.
Here's Robbie Ross Jr. down there in the Ranger bullpen. A 1 out. Now the number 9 man in the A's order, Alberto Callaspo, will come to the plate. Callaspo hit a sharply hit grounder off the foot, or off the shoe of Colby Lewis his last time up. Carried him over to the bag at third for an infield single. 1 for 2 is Callaspo. Good breaking ball that drops over the outside corner. 0-2. And Colby, just as he did starting off the 5th, out in front of the first 2 hitters, got a strike out of the first man, and he is ahead 0-2 to Callaspo. One ball, 2 strikes. Callaspo back in there. Robinson Chirinos flashing the signs out. Colby nods in agreement, goes to the line, and the pitch is skied to left field, foul territory. Michael Choice into the bullpen, but that ball back in the first row. A lot of foul territory. The only place there isn't a lot of foul territory is right down both lines where the stands jut out toward the foul line. There's about 15 feet
Ball's
right where the bullpen ends.
Come right back to Michael. I think he gives it to a Ranger fan. He's going.
Pretty quick reactions, too, to catch that.
Sure was. Well, that's a tough one to lay off of. That's the one Vogt swung at twice. Let's check out the Ranger fan.
Yep. There you go.
And the Ranger hat on, got himself a baseball.
2-2. That ball's hit well to right center field. Rios going back into the alley. He can't get there. It's one hop and off the wall and into second, where the 1 out double is Callaspo. Alberto Callaspo, his 8th double of the year, his 2nd hit tonight. And now the top of the order coming up to face Colby Lewis.
Well, he might have gotten the ball in on him, but it really didn't. He hit it pretty well. Kept his hands in, and even though it's on the inside corner, he got pretty much the good part of the bat on the ball. Alex couldn't quite get to it.
9 hits now for the A's against Colby Lewis. Coco Crisp coming up is 1 for 2 officially tonight. He's doubled and walked. Also fly to center. That's out of play to the left. It is 0-1. Crisp currently hitting at .277. Coco now a modest 3-game hitting streak going. He's gone 4 for 10 over those 3 games. Pitch is high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Colby Lewis nearing the 100 pitch level. His next one will be 99. Got 1 on and 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. He fires a knee-high strike. 1-2 to Crisp. Crisp now this year has hit safely in all 6 games that he has played against the Rangers. He's gone 10 for 23. That pitch just missed outside. 2-2 now. So Colby varying his delivery quite a bit with Callaspo at second. Sometimes he'll look back there, sometimes he won't. Didn't have to worry too much with an 11-3 lead of Callaspo trying to steal third. He's trying to mess with the timing of Coco Crisp. Breaking ball, that's inside. 3-2 now. Well, Crisp has already walked 1 time. He has the count full. He'll be followed by the DH, John Jaso. Colby nods in agreement. He sets the payoff pitch. Well hit to right field. Rios going over. That ball is off the wall. Callaspo around third. He will score. Into second base with the RBI double is Coco Crisp. And it is an 11-4 Ranger lead. Coco Crisp, his second double of the night. And that is going to do it for Colby Lewis. Ron Washington coming out. He has Robbie Ross, the left-hander, down there. He's got a left-handed hitting John Jaso due, and Wash making the signal that he wants Ross to come into the ballgame. So again, Colby Lewis not able to finish 6 innings. He goes 5 1/3 tonight. He leaves the big lead. It is 11-4 in favor of the Rangers. 1 man on his responsibility. And Robbie Ross Jr. now charged with coming in to put out this fire in the 6th. Pitching change underway. We'll be back to ODOT. the 26th, and enter to win free Rangers tickets and a VIP experience. Just visit otbfanzone.com for more details. Robbie Ross Jr. taking over, and he's facing a pinch hitter in Kyle Blanks. He's a big right-handed hitter up there, hitting for John Jaso, and there are the numbers for Robbie Ross. His 18th appearance of the year, 5.34 ERA, and Blanks shoots one foul over the head of the third base coach, Mike Gallego. Gallego got real small, real fast, getting out of the way of that shot.
He started out small, too.
Yep.
He got real smaller. Gallego was a good little ball player in his day. Ooh, watch out.
The 0-2 the count to Kyle Blanks. Robbie Ross wants to talk to Robinson Chirinos for just a moment. Blanks, the acquisition from San Diego. He'd been up and down with the Padres before the A's got him. Always a guy that had a lot of promise with the Padres and just never could find the consistency that San Diego was looking for. A pitch in the dirt. 1-2 now the count. Ross trying to put a damper on things here in the A's 6th inning. They have a run. They are trailing 11-4. Going inside. The count goes to 2-2. Ross okays the sign. Comes back to the plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So Robbie's gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Blanks pinch hitting for John Jaso to be followed by Yoenis Cespedes. Still just 1 out here in the 6th inning. Ball 4. Last thing that we wanted to see Robbie Ross Jr. do, and that's walk a man in an 11-4 ball game. 2 aboard for Cespedes. Washington called down to the bullpen now, and John Tollison, who had been up last inning, up and again throwing here in the 6th inning. Cespedes, a sacrifice fly in the 1st inning. Since then, he is fouled out and grounded to second. Got Crisp at second base, Blanks at first. He goes after that first Ross offering and fouls it away. It is 0-1. Cespedes sitting at 256.
The Rangers have a nice lead, 11-4, but Buzz, you described what they did to the Yankees the other day early in the ballgame when they scored 10 runs. So you can't take anything for granted. You don't want this inning to grow into a big inning.
That ball's hammered to left field. That's going to be up in the seats. A 3-run home run for Cespedes. It's the 11-7. Robbie Ross Jr. has come in and walked a pinch hitter and given up a 3-run home run to Cespedes.
Well, we talk about them hitting a lot of 3-run homers, and there's another one. The walk put the second man on base. And Cespedes didn't hit that one quite as far as Brandon Moss hit his, but it's pretty close. It's over that second, over the aisleway, into the second section out there in left field. No doubt about either one of those home runs.
Well, now the base is empty for Brandon Moss, who takes a strike on the outer part of the plate. Moss 2 for 3. All of a sudden, the crowd of a little over 12,000 energized here at Odotco. play a big part in the resurgence of this A's. A's at 42-27. They are 19-13 in this park. 1 ball, 1 strike to Moss. Popped up. Coming in front of second base, Elvis Andrus, the shortstop, makes the grab. That is out number 2.
All right, we're going to try to get Cespedes hit speed, and you pretty much have to go with 104 on this one. 105 maybe, 107, 98.
Threw you a changeup.
Oh man.
Well, that's going to do it for Robbie Ross Jr.
No wonder he didn't go as far as Moss, as he got jammed.
Right. Yeah, he did. Hit it off the bad part of the bat. Ross retires 1, gives up a 3-run home run and a walk. And he'll be replaced by Sean Tolleson. 11-7. Rangers on top, and Tolleson will try to close out the 6th inning. His last All-Star game of his great career. It promises to be a very emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1, followed by the 2014 All-Star Game at 7:30 on Fox. Sean Tolleson in to see if he can close out this 6th inning against the A's. And the first pitch is a strike to Josh Donaldson.
28th game for Sean. And then trying to slow the A's down. Got gotten right back into this ball game at 11-7.
And Donaldson takes strike 2. And talking to home plate umpire very quickly about the difference in motion from Sean Tolleson. Mark Wagner said, hey, nobody on base. He can do whatever he wants.
Throw it behind his back if he wants to.
Pitch throwing outside. But you'll find hitters that say, no, that's not, you can't do that.
Can't do that. It's not fair.
No.
Probably should. You should keep it in the bag until you have 2 strikes, though, the way I look at it.
Yeah.
You might as well get something really good out of it, like a strikeout. That would really make him mad.
That's right.
He's just like, irritated now.
Right. That's kind of like dropping down sidearm. High and tight. That'll make a hitter mad, too. But learned that very, very early. That if you're going to drop down sidearm, it's going to be something out of the ordinary. Wait till you get 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Might have been Sean Tolleson's way of saying, did I speed that one up for you?
Yeah. You don't like it? Take this.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Donaldson. Donaldson 1 for 3 tonight. Chopper slowly hit to third. Beltre charges from down under, throws, and picked nicely by Donnie Murphy, and that'll do it. Tolleson gets the Final out, a ground out by Donaldson. The A's get back in the ballgame. They score 4 times. We're going to the 7th, 11-7 Rangers. Murphy, who's hitting 6th in the order, got the Ranger barrage started. A 2-run home run to the deepest part of the ballpark. That got the Rangers going in the 4th inning. Then in the 5th inning, how about Michael Choice joining in? A long drive to left center field off of Ryan Cook. So the bottom part of the order getting it done tonight. Rangers 6 through 9 hitters. 6 for 11 with 6 RBI and 5 runs scored, a couple of home runs. Meanwhile, Yoenis Cespedes, a home run sacrifice fly, and 4 RBI for Oakland. 11-7. Rangers on top of the A's as the Rangers come to bat here in the top of inning number 7. It'll be Robinson Chirinos to face Jeff Francis. First pitch from Francis, a bit low for ball 1. Chirinos 2 for 3 tonight. Pair of singles, 2 RBI. Now hitting at 244 for the year. Out in front of that off-speed pitch, it's 1-1. Robinson with 5 home runs now, 19 RBI. Francis to the wind, back to the plate. Gets the inside corner. A ball and 2 strikes. Francis gave up a run in the top of the 6th inning. First inning at work. And Chirinos drives one to right. Vogt going back, has room in front of the track. And out number 1 is in the books. That'll bring up Michael Choice.
Number 15.
Michael 1 for 2 tonight. Had that long 2-run home run his last time up. He also walked and scored in the Rangers' 6-run 4th inning. Choice at 197 with the average. Francis misses outside for ball 1. Michael now 7 home runs, 26 RBI. Pretty impressive production for the 25-year-old. It's a breaking ball for a strike. Francis back to him. Foul tipped into the glove of Norris, and it's 1-2. Michael coming into play tonight had 155 official at-bats. Now with 157, 7 home runs. High and tight.
And Michael's had 31 hits and driven in 26 runs. That's pretty good. price for your base hits.
Francis with the 2-2 pitch. Pulled on the ground down to Donaldson. Across the diamond, 2 gone. So Choice grounds out. Now Rougned Odor. The fans, Dr. Pepper once again brings you savings when you visit Globe Life Park this year. Enter Dr. Pepper as the coupon code at TexasRangers.com/specials. Or you can bring any Dr. Pepper can to the ballpark for savings of at least 25% on most Sunday through Thursday games. The offer is good through July, and it's a perfect way to celebrate the start of summer. Odor takes the first pitch inside and low for ball 1. Rougned 2 for 3 tonight. A pair of singles. He has scored a run. Batting average now just a tick below 300, 299. Chops that pitch foul. The count evens, and a ball and a strike. Francis to the wide, the 1-1 pitch. Another ground ball foul. Right between the wickets. Benji Molina.
You got to be pretty sure that ball's not going to take a bad hop on you.
Yeah.
I'll let it through.
Yeah.
That's just, why have to take a few steps out of the way? Just spread one leg and just let it roll right through.
That's something that never happened when Benji was down behind the plate, though. Nothing got through him. 2-2 the count to Odor. He's not going to try and sidestep that one.
No.
Benji waiting for some action down there. He wants to wave around Rougned. To right center field, Crisp coming on. Ball high enough to take his time getting in there, and that'll do it. Rangers, for the first time tonight, down in 1-2-3 fashion, will take the stretch at Odotco Coliseum. Rangers 11 and the A's 7.
In Oakland, California. Welcome back. John Radigan here, and here's hoping that the Rangers bats stay as hot tomorrow as they have been tonight. Yu Darvish on the mound, and he would love to get the run support that the Rangers have provided tonight for Colby Lewis and the rest. Darvish against Coco Crisp. AT&T Ubers brings us the preview of tomorrow's game as we finish up this one. Buzz and Tom.
All right, John, thank you. The Rangers have been providing you, Darvish, with some pretty good support, so hopefully that'll continue tomorrow night. Right now, though, first things first is Sean Tollison working in the 7th inning to Jed Lowry, who fouled off the first pitch. It is 0-1. Lowry, a walk, a single in 2 official trips tonight, 1 for 2. Leading off the 7th inning for Oakland, fouls the next pitch back. Tollison with the advantage in the count now, 0-2. Rangers 11 runs on 12 hits. The A's 7 runs on 11 hits. A's have committed 2 errors. The Rangers 1 miscue. Tollison with the 0-2 pitch. Left center field. Robertson moving over in front of Michael Choice. And Daniel makes the grab. That is out number 1. And it will bring up Derek Norris. Before Norris steps in, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's Dana Larson. Dana.
Now batting the catcher, number 36, Derek Norris.
All right, Dana, thank you. Derek Norris takes ball 1. Norris tonight 1 for 3 with a double back in the 2nd inning. Norris batting at .305. Those 7 home runs to go along with the 29 RBI as Tollison misses a bit wide, 2-0. Sean Tollison came on and put out the fire in the 6th inning. Oakland had scored 4 times. Now the 2-0 pitch. 3 balls, no strikes. Norris hitting 7th in the order. He'll be followed by the right fielder, Stephen Vogt. Ball 4. 4-pitch walk. And again, not exactly what will make a skipper very pleased. A walk to the 7th hitter with a 4-run lead in the 7th inning.
Now batting right fielder.
A 1 on, 1 out. Stephen Vogt coming up. 0 for 3 tonight. Vogt has popped out, flied out, and struck out. Rangers looking for that ground ball at an infielder somewhere. Ball 1 from Tollison. And all of a sudden, John Tollison having trouble locating home plate. Torino's out to lend some words of encouragement to the 26-year-old right-hander. Vogt, one of 3 catchers by trade that are in the lineup tonight for the A's. They have Derek Norris, John Jaso started at DH. He's the backup catcher, as is Stephen Vogt. Vogt getting playing time in right field also. Ball 2. Vogt content to stand there with a bat on his shoulder. Three balls, no strikes. And that's going to bring Mike Maddox jogging out to the mound from the Ranger first base dugout. It's also going to get action going down the right field line of the Ranger bullpen as Neil Kotz up and throwing pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's going to get ready in a hurry. The lead is a nice lead, 4 runs with 3 innings to go. And One of the quickest ways to lose a lead is to let men get on base with walks. That has not been a problem for Sean, but he's got to come back now from a 3-0 count to try to get votes, so 2 men aren't on for Callaspo, and then the top of the order.
Tollefson back to the plate, and a strike, just grazing the inside corner. 3-1 to vote. You would think he probably is going to be taken here also. Either way, you need to make him swing the bat if you can. And he does, and bangs it to right field, a base hit. Stopping at second is Norris, as Rios comes back in with the ball quickly. First and second with 1 out, and Callaspo coming up.
Well, you'd rather see him roll a single into right field than walk. You get the ground ball. Next time it might be right at somebody and turn a double play. Walk, you just don't have any chance of getting it out. Make him put it in play.
Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre in there to talk to Sean Tollefson along with Robinson Chirinos.
Callaspo is a contact hitter who's also a great candidate for a double play. He's grounded into 10 of them this year. It's among the league leaders.
He's grounded into 10. That's 1/5 of the A's total. They don't ground into double plays very often. Callaspo is 2 for 3 tonight, a single and a double. He takes a strike. The changeup that floated in from Sean Tollefson. Callaspo doubled to right center field his last time up. First time that he has faced Tollefson tonight. Sean back to the plate. Inside.
Well, unfortunately,
nice back hit and stopped by Chirinos. Yeah. Hard breaking ball, and that thing just did come up into the glove of Robinson Chirinos. Tollefson's next pitch. Shot the other way, a base hit down the left field line. Norris around third is coming in. The throw goes into third. The opposite field RBI single by Alberto Callaspo. It is now an 11-8 ball game.
3 straight hits for Callaspo. Mentioned he was 1 for his last 28 coming into the game. Made it out his first time up and has had 3 straight hits since then. Well, a couple of ground balls, if they're hit right at somebody, you've got a double play to get out of the inning, but both of them found holes.
And that's going to do it for Sean Tollefson. Ron Washington on his way to the mound, and he wants the left-hander Neil Kotz to come on to face the top of the order. So the tying run is at home plate now in the bottom of the 7th inning. 2 on with 1 out. A run across for the A's. A pitching change underway. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Park is the perfect way to entertain clients, family, and friends. And nightly suite rentals include parking passes, concierge service, a food and beverage credit, and much more. Log on to TexasRangers.com/suites for details, or you can call 972-RANGERS extension 3. Well, Neil Cott's on now to face the tying run in this ball game. Coco Crisp at the plate, 2 aboard with 1 out here in the 7th inning. A run across for the A's. They have scored in each of the last 3 innings. First pitch is popped up. First base side infield fly rule in effect. And Coco Crisp on 1 swing of the bat makes the 2nd out of the inning.
You know, that's a tough at bat for Coco Crisp. You go up there, you want to swing at the first pitch. Generally, you have to get a good pitch to hit, and you definitely don't want to be late. Neil ran that cutter right in on his fist, jammed him. He's late, and 1 pitch, 1 big out.
A good job by Kotz coming in, throwing that 1 pitch to get the out. Now with 2 away, Kyle Blanks up for his 2nd at bat. Blanks came on as a pinch hitter in the 6th inning against Robbie Ross Jr. and walked. Takes inside for ball 1. That walk to Blanks set up a 3-run home run from Cespedes, the next hitter. Don't you know that Neil Cott's well aware of the outcome of that walk to Blanks last inning. 1-0 pitch is on the way. 1-1. A's have runners at 1st and 2nd. Stephen Vogt, the runner at 2nd. Alberto Callaspo is trailing him at 1st. So the A's hitting .256 with runners in scoring position. That is over their season average. Low and inside, ball 2. Neil Cott's, the 34-year-old veteran, on here trying to shut down the A's threat. Rip and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good low sinking fastball. 1 more strike to go. Get out of this inning before the middle of the order comes up. You definitely don't want to see Cespedes hit this inning.
Saw the Ranger infield pulled around to the left. 2-2 pitch, and the count is now full. But with 2 outs now, the runners vote at 2nd, and Callaspo at 1st will be off and moving. Neil Cott's trying to deal with Kyle Blanks so that he won't have to deal with Yoenis Cespedes. Cott's shaking off a sign, now says okay. A check of the runners. They are on the move. The 3-2 pitch, foul back, will reset and do it again.
Blanks is a big guy with good power. He had a good swing at that. Just barely got a piece of it. Looks like a fairly patient hitter the way he's taken the pitches that were out of the strike zone.
Our Echo pitch tracker showing you the spread of the last few pitches. Another 3-2. Inside corner, calls strike 3. Neil Cott's, the big punch out with runners at 1st and 2nd, and the 7th inning has come to a close. The A's get a run. They close to within 11-8 as we go to the 8th inning. our AT&T fan photo tonight coming from Gary. We appreciate this. The shot of the Ranger gear out at Globe Live Park. And if you all like to tweet your photo, use hashtag Southwest Fan Photo, and we will select a new photo for each ball game that we have on our air on Fox Sports Southwest. 11-8 as the Rangers come to bat here in the 8th inning. It will be the top of the order to face Jeff Francis, Daniel Robertson, Elvis Andrus, and Shin-Soo Choo. The big breaking ball bends into the strike zone against Daniel Robertson. Robertson 1 for 4 tonight. RBI single. He drove in his 3rd big league run back in the 4th inning. He takes low and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Robertson, of course, wearing that molded protection, the extension of the helmet on his left cheek. He had 3 separate fractures in that facial bones around his left eye. Down the right field line, it is a fair ball and into the corner, and Robertson can run. Vogt goes in to get the ball, and he gets it back in quickly to hold Daniel to a double, but the Rangers have their leadoff man aboard in scoring position.
Oh, Daniel's hit about 3 or 4 balls since he's been with the Rangers, just like that have gone foul right at the end. This one, fastball away, stays fair. And you can see how he can scoot around the bases. Well, fair. If it gets caught in the corner, possibly he gets to 3rd. But we'll take a leadoff double here in the 8th inning, trying to add some runs.
And that's going to do it for Jeff Francis. He is removed in favor of the right-hander Dan Otero. So another pitching change underway here at the Coliseum. O.co playing host tonight. 11-8. The Rangers leading. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming in.
Dan Otero has come out of the A's bullpen to take over, and he's facing Elvis Andrus, who's around to bunt and bunts it out in front of the plate. The only play that Norris had was to first. The sacrifice goes 2-4, and on to 3rd is Daniel Robertson. He's there with 1 out now, and Shin-Soo Choo coming in. So Elvis gets the job done on the sacrifice bunt.
Yeah, Elvis has done a lot of good things in this game offensively. A lot of the little things it takes to win a ball game. Base running, fundamentals, getting that bunt down, leadoff double to score a run, stretching a single into a double to get it. On the infield end, trying to pick up a run right here. Choo can get one up in the air or ground a ball through the drawn-in infield.
Choo taking a strike on the inside corner. Shin-Soo tonight is 0 for 3, although he did walk and score a run back in the 4th. Facing Dan Otero, the right-hander. And a ground ball at second. It's off the glove of Kayasmo. In to score is Robertson. Choo at first. He's digging for second. The off-balance throw, and he's out. Oh, he's safe. He slid around the tag at second base. Lowry can't believe it. He slapped the tag down there, expecting Chu to slide into it, and there was nothing of Chu to tag.
Well, they're going to come out and go through the process. Slowly to the umpire, look to your man in the dugout, decide if you've got a play that's reviewable in your mind. Either have a nice chat with the umpire or have him go review it.
Well, Chris Siegel, the second base umpire, one of the extra umpires added, and the official verdict is no, we're not gonna appeal it.
Just a little chat. Let's take a look.
Now batting.
Phantom tag.
Wow.
Missed the front leg. By the time he touched the middle of his body, the one leg was on the base.
It's going to be a two-base error on Callaspo, an RBI for Shin-Soo Choo, and the Rangers extend their lead. It's now 12-8.
It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if he caught that ball, because it was hit right at him. He's playing in, but Robertson got a great jump at third base. I think it still would have been a close play at the plate.
Here's Beltre, and going the other way, it's knocked down by the first baseman Moss. He fires on to Otero for out number 2. On to third goes Chu. And with 2 outs, it'll be out Alex Rios.
Watch Robertson and the jump he gets at third base. He's got a walking lead. And the minute the ball's on the ground, he's off and running. Now, he's going to have a play at the plate. But it might have been a little closer than you would have thought.
Yeah, I think you're right. So a very big run as the Rangers get one back that the A's scored in the 7th inning. They're able to get one back here in the 8th. And Shin-Soo Choo now at third with 2 outs for Alex Rios, who has a couple of hits tonight. And Otero drops that breaking ball right on the outside corner, 0-1.
Daniels, another guy that made a good game out of a slow start. He struck out in the first 2 innings, then had an RBI hit, lead off double, and scored a run here in the 8th inning. Good game for Daniel, getting the start against a left-handed pitcher tonight.
It'll be interesting to see if that earned him a start tomorrow night against Tommy Malone, another left-hander.
Sure, he's wondering the same thing.
Yep. Well, knowing Ron Washington, Daniel will know before he leaves the ballpark tonight whether he's going to start or not. Washington likes to tell guys in advance. Up the middle, but right there is Callaspo, the second baseman. On to first, that'll do it. But the Rangers get a very big run. They get a run on 1 hit. There was an error, and 1 man left. We're going to the bottom of the 8th. Rangers 12, the A's 8. East Bay in downtown San Francisco. Just opened about a year ago, a little less than a year ago. It is part of the world-famous skyline now of the San Francisco Bay Area. The Rangers leading 12-8. Leonys Martin now has entered the ballgame. He will take over in center field with Daniel Robertson moving from center over to left field. So Martin will hit in the number 8 spot, previously occupied by Michael Joyce. Neil Koch going to work, and Yoenis Cespedes takes outside for ball 1. Cespedes, a 3-run home run his last time up. He has 4 RBI tonight, now 48 for the year. He is 0 for 4, as you can see, against Neil Koch in his career. Left-hander back to the plate, fires a strike. It is 1-1. Cespedes waiting. Pitch from Koch. Comes into the back door. It's 1-2. I still want to know how a team with Yoenis Cespedes and Leonys Martin in the outfield would have ever lost or had anybody take an extra base on them.
Yeah, they might have lost some games if their pitcher got bombed, but
that's true.
They sure weren't running the bases freely on balls hit to the outfield.
2-2. I don't imagine many balls fell in for those two guys playing out there either.
No, you wouldn't think so.
Koch ready for the 2-2 pitch. It's on the way. And out of play to the right. Neil Koch entered with runners at first and second and 1 out, a run across in the 7th. He got Coco Crisp to pop out on 1 pitch and then struck out Kyle Blanks on a 3-2 pitch to end the threat. And he misses outside here. That runs the count full to Cespedes. Well, the number 3 hitter, Yoenis Cespedes, trying to get aboard. Brandon Moss, the first baseman, waits to be next. Koch with a payoff pitch. We'll try it again. Koch, the 3rd reliever used by Ron Washington tonight. It has been tough going coming into the ball game. Robbie Ross had a tough time. John Tollison had a tough time after he got the first 2 outs. Cespedes draws the leadoff walk in the 8th. That is the 6th walk issued by Ranger pitching tonight.
Yeah, last couple of walks, last few walks are coming at times where you don't want walks. You got a lead, you want them to hit the ball.
And Jason Frazier, the Rangers right-hander, loosening in the bullpen. Brandon Moss, the hitter coming to the plate, a left-handed hitter, but then you have the right-hander Josh Donaldson to follow. So it'll be interesting to see if Neil Koch isn't able to get Moss, what happens? Chopper foul. It's 0-1. Moss tonight, a long solo home run in the 5th inning. He is 2 for 4, having singled also in the 1st inning. Not much luck against Neil Koch. Brandon Moss 0 for 6 in his career. Koch trying to make it 0 for 7. 0-2 the count. Four of the 6 times that Koch has faced Moss in the past, he has struck him out. 0-2 pitch. A little bit high, the appeal down to 3rd, and no swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cespedes a runner at first. Rangers in an overshift. They have 3 players on the right side of the infield. Got him swinging. Make that 5 out of 7 for Koch striking out Moss. That is a big out, number 1, and that's going to be it for Neil Koch. So he gets his second strikeout. He will leave here with Cespedes at first base and 1 out in the 8th inning. Ron Washington going out by out now, and he wants the right-hander Frazier to come on to face Josh Donaldson. Now, one more pitching change here at Odotco Coliseum. Rangers leading 12-8. Back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Now a 12-8 Ranger lead, and what looked like a runaway at one point has become a kind of a tense game, and Jason Frazier in to make sure it doesn't get any more tense.
Well, by the looks of the numbers, the Rangers have the right guy in the ball game right now. Jason Frazier having a terrific year with a 1.54 ERA. Opponents are only hitting 185 against him. Face Josh Donaldson.
Donaldson 1 for 4 tonight. He takes the first Frazier offer on the outside corner for strike 1.
I'd like to see Frazier get ahead with a couple of strikes and then quick pitch him. You know that little quick pitch he's got?
Yeah.
He's already complained about it from Sean Tolleson.
And really get him upset.
Yeah. Jason, I don't think he'll use it until he gets 2 strikes.
The 0-1 in the dirt. Nice stop by Robinson Chirinos without that splitter that Frazier's featuring lately. The bottom is dropping out of that thing.
Sure is.
Has had a good one of late. 1-1 the count to Donaldson, who had a single back in the 5th inning. Other than that, he's grounded out a couple of times and fly to right. 12-8. Rangers leading the A's, both teams with 13 hits tonight. Jason Frazier okays the sign, a check of first. Fires a strike on the outside corner. 1-2. Now would be the time to do this.
I'd love to see it right now.
The only problem is you might get called with a guy on first base. They might
call you for a balk.
Yeah,
you can't. I guess you can't do it with a man on first, can you? You're right.
You can not lift your leg at all, just kind of sidestep. And call strike 3.
Good afternoon and good night.
Donaldson might have been thinking about that quick pitch. He sure wasn't thinking about swinging the bat. Frazier, a big strikeout, 2 gone. And Jed Lowry coming up. That's the look of a guy who is 0 for 33.
Well, you know, when you take these 3 pitches that are all in the strike zone and he walks away in disbelief, that they're strikes, it just tells you what you probably already know. He's not seeing the ball very well.
Yeah.
You know, either his head's moving, his eyes are moving, he's just not picking the ball up. He can't believe those things are strikes, but they're in the strike zone. It's not like they're borderline pitches touching the strike zone. He's just struggling right now.
First pitch to Lowry. It's a little bit low for ball one. Jay Lowry, the A's shortstop, 1 for 3 officially tonight. He's had a single. He's also walked, and he's had no luck against Jason Frazier. 0 for 5 in his career. Yoenis Cespedes started the inning by getting a walk against Neil Kotz. 2 strikeouts later, he is still anchored at first base. Jason Frazier would love for him to stay right there until tomorrow. Inside, 2-0. Lowry, the switch hitter, batting lefty against the right-hander Frazier. Jason okays the sign and sets. Hit well to right field. Rios going back. The ball kind of dying, though, as he gets to the warning track. Alex able to put it away, and that'll do it. So Frazier comes on to get a strikeout. A fly ball, 1 left for the A's. We're going to the 9th. 12-8 Rangers. Wide. You know, we talk about home runs and all that. How about the run that Elvis Andrus manufactured virtually by himself? He stretches a single into a double to start off. Hit a little fly ball into right center. Elvis tagging, taking advantage again of Coco Crisp and the weak arm. At third now, there's a little pop fly into foul territory in the bullpen that Josh Donaldson got. Elvis tagging and scoring there. Well, that is just running around the bases till somebody tags you out, and nobody tagged Elvis out. A very important run for the Rangers. And we go to the 9th inning. And Fernando Abad, the left-hander, on to take over. He will face Robinson Chirinos Chirinos. Donnie Murphy, is starting off the top of the 9th inning. Abad coming out of the A's bullpen, the 4th reliever used tonight by Bob Melvin. And Murphy fouls back that first pitch. It is 0-1. Here are the numbers for the veteran left-hander.
He's been pitching quite a bit. This will be his 34th ball game. Pitching quite well, too, with a nice 1.63 ERA. Thrown 27 2/3 innings, has not given up a home run. Opponents are only hitting 144 against him.
Pitch is high and away to Donnie Murphy. Murphy had the big 2-run home run that got the 6-run 4th inning started for the Rangers. Donnie his third home run of the year. Now 13 runs driven in. Hits this one well to right field, down the line, deep into the corner. It is gone. Home run for Donnie Murphy, going the other way. His second home run of the night. The Rangers now lead 13-8.
Boy, Donnie likes hitting in this ballpark. Hitting like a first baseman tonight. He's got a long one to center and a short one right down the right field line. Didn't look like a home run off the bat, but he hit it a little bit better than it looked. It didn't slice foul. It stayed fair right near the foul pole. He drove that ball pretty well to right field. Hoping it stays fair, and it did.
Man. Well, the third Ranger home run of the night. The second one for Donnie Murphy. Murphy now with 4 home runs for the year.
Right in the corner.
13 runs on 14 hits now. Donnie Murphy, quite a night. Chirinos shooting another pitch foul. Donnie telling Elvis Andrus how that ball stayed straight. Didn't slice.
Wash had Soria up with a 4-run lead, but he sat him down with a 5-run lead. It looks like Ben Rowan is throwing out the bullpen now.
There's a drive to deep left center field. Looking up is Cespedes. Goodbye.
That ball went in the hole. That went in the thing. If it's in it, you win. It either hit it or it went in it. I don't think it counts if a Ranger hitter hits it. But it says if it's in, you win. I don't know what you win, but it hit that white thing.
Robinson Chirinos, a line drive home run. Back-to-back shots by Murphy and Chirinos. And it's 14-8.
That's not what it has to go through. Sorry, it's the thing on the left.
The O?
The
yeah.
O. Okay. I thought it was the thing right above the sign.
It scared me for a second. I thought we were going to have... thought we were going to have to go out there and give something away.
It did hit the sign. I thought it hit. You just don't win anything for hitting that sign.
Well, you get a home run for it.
You'd sure do that.
Robinson did. Oh, bad. Throwing that breaking ball that hung up.
Watch it hit the sign.
It did.
False alarm. Sorry.
Jonas Martin trying to make it 3 in a row, and he swings through a pitch.
Well, Abad had given up a 144 opponent's batting average and no home runs. And the first 2 batters he faced hit home runs.
Tough game tonight.
Yeah. Welcome to the stat sheet, Abad.
Yeah, that's right. Check swing by Leonis. It's 2 balls and a strike. Martin with his first at bat of the night. He took over defensively for Michael Choice last half inning. 267 the average for Martin. Pitch is chopped foul. It's now 2-2.
The bottom of the order doing some damage. They've knocked in 8 runs. They've hit 4 home runs. His performance was done. Decided to catch the game before he went home.
And Leonis a swing and a miss. Ball gets away. Throw by Norris. He's in time to get Martin. That is out number 1. So Leonis a strikeout victim. Now Rougned Odor will come to the plate. Odor tonight is 2 for 4, a pair of singles. He has also scored a run. Donnie Murphy's still talking about that. 4 home runs tonight. The last time the Rangers had this many in a game, last September at Tampa Bay, they had 4. It's been a long time coming. Of course, the Rangers entering play tonight next to the last in the American League with 46 home runs. They now are up that to 50 for the year. One ball, no strikes. And a ground ball, base hit for Odor, his 3rd hit of the night. The Rangers piling on Fernando Abad. 2 home runs, now a single. 1 on, 1 out for the top of the order. And Daniel Robertson.
Daniel Robertson.
Robertson 2 for 5 this evening as the leadoff man. A single, a double. He has driven in a run, scored a run. He's had an all-around outstanding evening. Rangers now with 16 hits tonight, 14 runs. And Robertson pops it up. Plenty of foul territory. First baseman Moss in front of the Ranger dugout puts it away. And there are 2 gone for Elvis Andrus. Now you can see just how much foul territory there is down each line and behind home plate. First baseman and catcher and third baseman can run forever and not get to the dugouts of the stands, it seems like. 95 feet from the bases to the nearest point of the stands. Hitters just go crazy here. They go crazy because pop-ups that would normally be about 20 rows back are caught.
Yeah, there are balls that are caught here that when you pop them up in another park, you don't even look. You just know they're not going to be caught. Here you hit it, you just make that assumption, then you go, uh-oh. Wrong, we're in Oakland.
1-0 pitch to Elvis. Changeup floats outside and he checks his swing. Ben Rowan, who made his major league debut yesterday up in Seattle. Fly ball to right field. Easy play out there for Vogt. And that will do it. But the back-to-back home runs start off the Ranger 9th inning. It was first Donnie Murphy. And then Robinson Chirinos went yard. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 left. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Rangers by 6. Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. Mobilizing your world. And by your Texas Ford dealers. Take the EcoBoost Challenge to see why Ford is the best in Texas. Now, Donnie Murphy, a big night for the Ranger first baseman. And Robinson Chirinos going back-to-back in that 9th inning to put 2 more on the board for the Rangers. Ben Rowan on for his 2nd Major League appearance in as many days. After his Major League debut yesterday, and he'll work the 9th here, dealing to Derek Norris inside for ball 1.
Oh, he had a good inning yesterday. Pitched an inning, didn't give anything up. On Father's Day in front of his dad. A spectacular day for the Rowan family.
And he was smiles from ear to ear, even after a Ranger loss. I mean, you couldn't help but feel good for him.
No, that was great. Happy for the whole family. Mom she let out a few sighs of relief, and so did the dad.
And the pitch on the inside corner. It is 1-2 now to Derek Norris. Norris a double and a walk. 1 for 3 officially tonight. He has scored a run. Rowan gets the sign and back to the plate. Ricky ball, see you later.
Never seen that before.
Derek Norris raising his arms to let it pass by, and that was it. Strike 3.
He got ahead with his sinker and then threw his slider right down the middle of the plate and just fooled Norris. He's never seen this pitcher before. Never seen, well, he's probably seen submarine pitchers before, but not this particular one. That's not easy the first time you see him. So 3 pitches for Ben and a strikeout. First major league strikeout.
Oh, 1 away now. Stephen Vogt, the right fielder. And they're going to take that ball out of play.
Good.
Until you mentioned that, they probably didn't realize that.
First major league strikeout. There you go.
Ron Washington going to make sure that Ben gets that one for his mantle at home. Pitch to Stephen Vogt, in for a strike. 0-1 the count. Vogt tonight is 1 for 4. And he takes strike 2. Rowan doing nothing but firing strikes. Right-hander from down under. Just missed the outside corner. And the next pitch up the middle. But there's a man there. Elvis Andrus on to first. And the A's now down to their final out. Alberto Callaspo will be the hitter.
That was a changeup from Ben. 4 or 5 miles an hour different from his fastball. Vogt ended up looked like jammed himself for that one. A little dinky ground ball to shortstop. Well, sure, Buzz, the one thing you just said is what Ron Washington probably likes best about watching him right now. All strikes he's throwing.
You are correct. That'll endear you to
yes, it will.
To a manager in a game like this. Callaspo takes a strike.
Maybe right up in the pecking order.
A 3-hit night for the switch-hitting infielder. Alberto Callaspo is a pair of singles and a double. He has driven in a run. He has scored a run. 0-1 pitch from Rowan. Weaving at it. Callaspo now down in the count. 0-2.
You can tell how unaccustomed the big league hitters are to facing this kind of a pitcher by the swings that they're taking. They're like baffled.
Rowan's next pitch to Callaspo. Going the other way, and that one stayed up a little bit. And Callaspo, it's the first hit against Ben Rowan of a major leaguer.
Well, he's had a lot of firsts in the last 2 days.
Oh, 1 on, 2 out. And back to the top of the order, Coco Crisp. Crisp, a pair of doubles tonight. He has scored twice. He has driven in a run. Also walked 2 for 4 this evening. Batting at .279. Rowan set. Callaspo not being held on at first. And the fastball in for strike 1.
10 out of 12 pitches have been strikes.
Rangers leading by half a dozen, 14-8. They have out-hit the A's tonight, 16-14. That one Just sinks off the outer edge. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rowan, the 25-year-old, grew up Southern California down at Palos Verdes Peninsula area. This is high and away. It's 2-1. The Ranger Brain Trust with Tim Bogart, Ron Washington, Gary Pettis. Rip and a miss by Crisp. And the count evens at 2-2. Don't forget tomorrow night now it'll be Yu Darvish trying to exercise some demons here in this O'Datco Coliseum. He'll be opposed by Tommy Malone. Yu Darvish just 1-7 against these Oakland A's. He's looking for a little bit of payback in the middle game of this 3-game series. Tapper down the third baseline. They're going to let it roll, and it's going to stay on the grass and stay fair. Beltry tries to kick it, but I think somebody saw that. So an infield single gets Crisp aboard. There are 2 on now, and still 2 outs, and Kyle Blanks comes up for his 3rd at bat.
Well, 3 hits for Crisp. Rangers got him when it was the most important, though. Neil Cott's got him to pop up with 1 out and 2 men on in a much closer ball game back in the 7th inning.
So Crisp's hit, and that's going to force the Ranger bullpen to get busy again. Not quickly, but Joaquin Soria will get up and start throwing. First pitch to Blanks is a breaking ball that swerves outside for ball 1. Soria had gotten up and was pretty loose before this inning started. But because the Rangers added on a couple of runs, he was told to sit back down in favor of Ben Rowan. 1-0 pitch. Now 2-0. Rowan set. A check of the runners. And a chopper foul. Now the A's would have to score a run and have the bases loaded for this to become a safe situation.
Right.
And I don't think Ron Washington's going to wait till it gets to be a safe situation. 2-1 pitch. Off the outer edge is 3-1.
There's a spot where you don't even try to hit a corner now. Just throw a strike.
Yep.
Take your shot.
An echo pitch, Drackler. You've been rolling around the periphery. Pitch foul back. It's 3-2. So with 2 outs, both Callaspo and Crisp will be off and moving with a pitch. If Blanks is able to reach and extend this 9th inning, Yoenis Cespedes would be next. Rangers would just as soon see Cespedes tomorrow evening sometime. Runners on the move, and the payoff pitch. Ground ball out to short. Elvis on to first, and that is a winner. Well, Ben Rowan, a little bit of a tough spot in the 9th, a couple of base hits, but he strands a pair. And the Rangers get back to 500 as they take the first from the Oakland A's. The final score here tonight, the Rangers 14 and the A's 8. Rangers now have won 4 straight this year here at the O'Datco Coliseum. As they get back to 500, they are now 35 and 35. It took 3 hours and 41 minutes tonight for the Rangers to come away victorious. They dropped the Athletics to 42 and 28 for the year. Rangers now trailing by 7 games. They pick up a game on Oakland. And, Rangers will keep pace with Seattle, who won tonight. But the important thing is the Rangers got back on the winning side of things. And they now go to 19 and 16 on the road And they will hand it off to Yu Darvish tomorrow night to see if he can get a W here in the Odotco Coliseum. Well, Donnie Murphy, a big night tonight. First time up to dead center field, and he got it out of the ballpark. And then the next time off of Fernando Abad going the other way. Sneaked it in right there beside the foul pole. His second home run of the night. Big night for Donnie Murphy, and he is now standing by with John Radigan. So let's go down to the field. John?
Yeah, we are with the author of that big night, Buzz, Donnie Murphy here. And, boy, it was you love hitting here, don't you? 3 or 4 home runs this year are here.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like one of those things when you play your old team, you just really want to do some damage against them. And luckily I got some good pitches to hit against them here and then took advantage of it, and it's working out.
Yeah, 16 hits for the team tonight, 14 runs. It's nice to have offense like that.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you got to tell yourself, like, hey, let's save something for the next game. But, you know, this can never get old when you have games like this. It's fun. It makes everything you got a little interesting for a while, but luckily we tacked on a few more runs and got the W.
Yeah, and one of those was you going Oppo on the deal. So.
Yeah, 331 feet. I'll take it anytime. But no, it was fun. Definitely, it was a good game tonight.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing we talked about it before the game. You guys have been playing so well on the road, and it almost is kind of contagious. You continue to play well on the road.
Yeah, you know, that's what we got to do. You know, struggling a little bit at home, we got to take advantage of these road trips. You know, get back on track, stay in the standings. You know, we can't look too early, but at the same time, we got to play good on the road and keep ourselves in it.
Good stuff, Donnie. We appreciate it. Yeah. Back to 500 they are, guys. Let's get it back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, fun night tonight. 14 to 8, the finale here. We will be back to wrap things up from Odotco Coliseum right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.